Let's roll, rolling Atlas Thug. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with our bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Jar Openers podcast. This is episode 9. I'm glad to see everybody here. And I'm Tyler. I'm the host.
Episode 10.
Episode 10? Oh, I put 9 on my thumbnail. Oh, well. Episode 9 or 10, one of them. I can't
Same
count
difference.
10, so after this, it's all good. But anyways, Atlas Thug, you want to let everybody know where they can find you and what you're up to?
Yeah, I am the resident Christian nationalist here. I know I'm a little radical from most people. I'm a recovering libertarian, as most people would like to put it. You can find me at Atlas Thug on YouTube, as well as X at Atlas_Thug_. And as I'm getting some comments here in one of my recent posts, I have Scott, forgive me, I've always pronounced this wrong. Scott Skimowski says I'm a little too smart for X. So I like to think that too.
Nice. Well, we got a lot of good things to show you guys tonight. I'm really looking forward to giving you this week in what's going on in the news pretty much. A lot of things came out the last couple days even. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. I hope everybody got an opportunity to watch the Donald Trump interview with Joe Rogan. Myself, I've only gotten about halfway through. Actually, a little bit. I think I got like an hour left in it, but it's been really good so far. Just like, pretty much as you would expect for Donald Trump at this pace, at this rate. He's really stepping in stride and looking good, especially when you compare it to how Kamala Harris has been doing. I mean, she's been basically just falling on her face flat at every turn, every attempt. Even with this recent interview that she did with all deep state CIA, what's his name? White-haired guy. I can't think of his name.
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper, that guy, yeah. Asked her the same question that she's been asked like 3 or 4 interviews in a row, and she still can't get the question right. She still is just, they're giving her every opportunity to like, hey, can you at least answer this one question? And she's just she can't get it right. It's insane. New phrase came out, word salad city. That was given to her by a former Obama. I think it was a former Obama advisor. I can't think of his name right now.
Axelrod.
Yeah, Axelrod. That's right. On CNN, that was good. It's looking good for Trump. Even in the poly markets, he's up. Here, let's take a look at the poly market real quick. This is the betting market where people actually put their money where their mouth is, and currently Trump is up 64.6% to 35.3%. It's pretty impressive. I thought it was actually going to go up a little bit more than this, considering how well he did on the Joe Rogan interview. It's getting like 1 million views an hour, which is just incredible. But I came out, like I said, I still got about an hour to go in that interview, but it seems to me that he won Joe Rogan over, and Donald Trump came off a lot smarter, a lot more planned. It's not a surprise to a lot of people, but it is to a lot of people, a lot of other people, that Donald Trump actually moved with intentions when it came to some of his foreign policy and a lot of the decisions he made in his first 4 years. And I hope that gives a lot of people that were like on the fence, potentially Joe Rogan viewers, some confidence that he's the guy to vote for. And let's see, let's go ahead. Where do you want to start? Let's see. I have, let's just start with this. This is a good, wholesome story here this is from Eric Trump. He was recently on the PBD podcast with Patrick Bet David, and my favorite guy over there is Vinny. He's America first to the bone, and I don't know, I just like Vinny. He's passionate and all this stuff. But Eric Trump was on there, I think it was yesterday, and he gave Vinny asked him a question, and his answer really, I mean, I kind of had to fight back a tear almost. I was working out in the yard listening, and let's just start with that, and let's go ahead and check it out now. Check the volume.
Yes,
okay, it should be good. Guys, let me know if the volume's okay in chat, please. Hopefully I don't blast your guys' eardrums, so I'm going to turn it down, and then
And thanks everybody for being here too.
Yeah, everybody. TNT Cycles, JB. I'm gonna call you JB. I hope that's okay. Dave Hackney, Cora, Chris. Who else? I saw somebody else. Jamie, I missed you. I apologize, but it's good to see you guys. Let's go ahead and get this one going.
Do you mind if I really quick? So I mean, we've seen what they have been doing from the beginning, from the Russia to where we're at, to the assassination attempts, which I don't even want to get into the fact that, if it was incompetence or negligence, whatever.
Thanks, Andrea.
Crazy situation. In the documentary that we saw, what was it the Man You Don't Know?
You don't know. Yeah.
Your brother mentioned something that really hit me hard, and he said something. It was something about God and the spirituality level, especially in a moment like that, because I don't care what anybody says. I'm a Christian. Tom's a Christian. We go to church. We go to the same church many times. That moment, especially when you see that 3D shot where literally your father just goes like this and it grazes his head. I don't know where your guys' level of Christianity or prayer or spirituality. Did anything really change? Because when your brother your brother said something that hit me, and he was like, yeah, it kind of made me go, whoa, this is a whole different situation, because they've tried everything and he's still fighting and he's still winning.
So let me tell you a little bit of a mushy story that I never thought I'd tell on this podcast. I think I've only told it once before, but Mike Huckabee in 2016 during the primaries, obviously he was running against my father. He comes off the stage. I'm backstage. I went to every one of the debates, and comes backstage and he goes, I'm going to drop out of this race, Eric. And my father walked up at the same time. He said the same thing to my father. I drop out of this race. And he goes, I really believe that the spirit of God, God's hand is on your father's shoulder. And I go, wow, that's beautiful. And I'm not sure if I really quite knew what it meant at the time. And then you go through this 10-year, guys, there are some dark days, right? I mean, there are dark days where they're trying to get you. I mean, I sat behind him or next to him in court every single day, during the sham indictments, when they're trying to effectively, do a hostile takeover of our company. They're trying to cancel business licenses. We've never done anything, freaking wrong. Some of that stuff's pretty dark. And you know what? Every single time there was kind of this miraculous, I don't want to necessarily call it a light. I'm using that as a little bit of a metaphor, but something changed, and he was always guided in the right direction, right? You could not have beat Hillary Clinton, probably the greatest political dynasty, that family, with $300 million, not knowing what a delegate was going into, the state of, Iowa. Like, you just couldn't have done it. And believe me, he was being guided. He absolutely was. And I don't know, guys, you look at Corey, his wife tells the story. I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but Corey's wife has told me several times, and my father, Corey, that day kept on saying to her, right, Donald Trump's going to bring me up on stage. Donald Trump is going to bring me up on stage. She's looking at him and saying, well, what are you talking about? Donald Trump's not going to bring you up on stage. There's 50,000 people here. How is he going to bring you up on stage? I'm telling you, I can feel it in my soul. Donald Trump's going to bring me up on stage. And
Corey, the fireman
who was killed.
Oh, wow.
And literally during the RNC, I'm not a crier, but at the RNC, I mean, I'm fighting. I'm trying to fight back tears as you see that firefighting outfit up on stage. I mean, he was literally brought back up on that stage, and the fact that he was so emphatic with his wife about this whole story, the fact that the big American flag folded over and turned into a perfect angel above his head.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's a shot right there with he's going to bring me on the stage. He's going to bring me on the stage. I mean, there was no bigger stage in the world than this. Everybody was watching it. The entire earth was watching this performance, right? And he did it again in Butler when we returned that day. But then again, the flag. I mean, guys, I'm a competitive shooter. It's what I've done. Like I know that game as well as anybody. My 6-year-old son will make a 130-yard shot with a modern rifle every single time. Like this is not a difficult thing. If you're a golfer, that's like a 4-inch putt. The fact that he turned his head, looked at a screen on the opposite side where the screens
Thank God for
normally
that
are.
graph of immigration. I'll
The
tell you right
immigration
now.
graph was up there, which he normally throws in at the end of these things. I mean, you want to talk about 1,000 things going right to spare him. It's not coincidence. So, and one other thing, faith is totally under attack. It's not just Christianity, right? But faith is totally under attack in this country. And we're so much better than this. Again, I mentioned the Jewish student, they can't walk across the NYU or Columbia campus. But man, the way that they're attacking Catholics, the way that they're attacking evangelicals, I mean, what is it with these people that can't just stay out of people's lives and let them? It makes no sense to me. But God has been a big part of this journey. There's no question about it, and you can feel it, and we have felt it. And I really don't think he would be here, and I don't think he would have. That's why it's almost like he has to win in 12 days, right? I know that sounds like a little maybe
Amen.
contrite, but
Last question.
why else would you be here?
Yep.
Why else would you be here?
Last question before we wrap up is story from Axios.
And that's pretty much the story. The last little bit is just a follow-up from Patrick Bet David about election day, potential election day violence and stuff like that. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit about how God has touched the Trumps, kind of protected the Trumps. And that's something that, my family, we continue to pray a hedge of protection over Donald Trump and his family, because to us, he's pretty much the only thing standing between us and a future of, potential communism and things like that. So anyways, wanted to start off with that because I thought that was really cool. And Eric Trump in this interview actually was asked, does he believe that he would ever run for president in the future? And he didn't say no. And so, thinking of 2028, I've been thinking, is it going to be Vivek or DeSantis or, who else would it be? I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys know a lot about Eric Trump? And what are your thoughts on him? Maybe, I think a lot, depends on how this next 4 years goes. But I mean, he might, after Donald Trump can't run anymore, that might be the way to go. I don't know.
I think that even among the conservative base, you're going to have people who will be opposed to it just because it will resemble, a dynasty. I'm somebody though who's like on Barron Trump's side, and it's funny because Sock just said Barron will be king.
Well, that was predicted in a book written in the 1800s, right?
Yeah. I can't remember what the name of that book is, but it's the one that people point to that has all these kind of eerie similarities, and people are like, "Is Trump a time traveler?" But you think about it, and especially in regards to like the JRE podcast and the Theo Von one, and I can't remember, there's a couple others he's been on here recently. All of that was because, and Trump even had said this, was because Barron Trump had pointed out the podcast he should go on and who he should talk with. And now he's like plus 30 among young voters ever since he's been doing a lot of this kind of Gen Z podcast tour. And you think about it too from the perspective of Donald Trump did not grow up in politics, right? He grew up in business. He grew up in an entirely different atmosphere. And now he's going to have a son who's lived at the behest of all of this political kind of violence surrounding his dad, when his dad's just tried to enter the system from the outside position. And now he's going to be raised up fully aware of like all of the political ramifications, the consequences, the violence. And I think you're going to get a true kind of like prodigy out of him. I know much less about Eric, but Barron Trump being not only just like memed out as being like he has the face of Caesar and they compare him to the Roman coin and things like that. But I think that if we're really looking for a true kind of, heir to the throne, as it will, Barron Trump is probably that person. So I would expect to see him here soon. And then also imagine too, I don't really think that Eric Trump or Don Jr. have really kind of shown much willingness to take on the mantle. I think it's a possibility. I do. But I don't know how well they would fare against somebody like a Ron DeSantis, who does have a kind of like an already solid base. So imagine that probably will be it, right? We'll be looking at like a Ron DeSantis, a JD Vance, and like a Vivek Ramaswamy ticket. You know, forget
Yeah.
Nikki Haley. She ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, JD Vance would potentially be a good candidate too, so far at least, judging off of what I've seen so far and hearing what Don Jr. had to say about him. I like everything that JD Vance is doing so far, especially he seems just like a real guy. I don't know if you caught that clip. I haven't watched the full interview, but he went on with Theo Vaughn, and Theo Vaughn was talking about cocaine or something and had JD cracking up. It was really funny clip. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I didn't want to play it, but I didn't even think to play it actually ahead of time. But
he's like, isn't it crazy that you can't do cocaine in America anymore?
It's just funny.
Just like JD didn't know what to do with it.
The awkwardness and the sincere laugh. I don't know. It's just some of these politicians are just so robotic that they just don't even know how to respond, but he was just genuinely laughing. It was an awkward laugh, but it was pretty funny to me. I saw Chris said there's no way he could vote for DeSantis. I get that. I mean, I live in Florida, and I think that DeSantis has been a fantastic governor, and I'm glad that he's going to be the governor for the next couple years still. His term runs for the next couple years, but his presidential candidacy, his attempt was very lackluster. You know, his announcement on X went bad. It's just there's so many things involved with it that just seemed like he was a bad decision maker when it came to like the grander scale. I don't know if that was just kind of deer in the headlights from the bigger spotlight or what, but I don't know. I can say that he's been a great governor. At least I felt nice and free during the pandemic and things like that. So I mean, I get it. And obviously the other part to DeSantis running in this last election was, or in the primaries, was the fact that he thought that he could maybe beat Trump, which, I mean, was just bad for him in the first place as well. But
we ran a miserable campaign. I mean,
yeah,
you know, you even had instances where you have like the TimCast IRL crew being attacked by, I think, what's her name, Christina Pushaw, and a few others like that generated that campaign. But I guess maybe one of my major points would be, you know, compare Ron DeSantis to JD Vance alone. Take Trump out of the equation even. I think JD Vance just solos, you know, Ron DeSantis in like a charisma challenge. JD Vance just has that extra level of like ability to be affluent and speak and be articulate, where, you know, Ron DeSantis kind of has that, like, is he autistic? Like, is there some reason why this guy seemingly has this very kind of platonic way of speaking? You know, but yeah, I don't have much faith in the Ron DeSantis group.
Yeah. See, Abigail Shepard asked, did y'all see that? Let me put it on the screen actually so everybody can see it. Did y'all see that Kamala and Beyonce at her rally and promised 30,000 people a free concert only for Beyonce to talk for 3 minutes and leave? People walked out. Yes, actually. And that's the next thing I have up. So let's go ahead and just segue right into that. I got 2 clips I want to show you guys. Which one I'll do this longer one first. Colin Rugg.
It's the only way that she can get people in the door.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Trump serving fries. I don't know if you guys saw that thumbnail. I made that thumbnail. It was cracking myself up. Let's see. Vivek jumped into the winning team. He's a smart guy and a salesman. He is. And, you know, he's been on the winning team for such a short amount of time that, you know, if he can maintain the status for the next 4 years, I'll trust him a lot more. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people say that he kind of comes off sounding like Obama, and I totally agree with that. But I mean, if his principles and his values are in the right place, I don't care if he sounds like Obama. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be the same person as Obama, especially like I said, if he maintains for the next 4 years. But that's still all kind of yet to be seen. But I still leave him in the running as a potential. Anybody that seems to be America first, not you know, trashing the religious community and stuff like that, you know, they're already kind of a couple steps ahead of a lot of these other people, their potential candidates, in my opinion. Chris said that McDonald's is about 30 minutes away from him. That's pretty cool. I heard that guy is actually the the GM of that store has had to keep the security around even after like for days. I don't know if it's still around because of, just I call it the radical left, right? But
Yeah.
let's check this one out here. Oh, fine. There it is. This was it's a 2-minute clip from Colin Rugg, and this was the Kamala Harris's highly anticipated rally in Houston, Texas. It was a complete disaster as some attendees fumed that Beyonce didn't perform. Harris failed to control the rowdy crowd as boos and shouting drowned her out on multiple occasions. Some of the crowd, this got a little bit longer. Some of the crowd reportedly were upset that Beyonce wasn't performing. Of course, I mean, when they hyped this whole thing up, I thought that it was absolutely going to be Beyonce, at least singing a song or two, right? I mean, Kid Rock and the RNC at least came out and sang a song or two, which was pretty badass in my opinion. But bait and switch, crowd building, promise to performance to bring people in, and they, oh wow, so apparently they promised a performance to bring people of Beyonce, trying to get people to actually for once give Kamala a big crowd, and the crowd apparently turned on her. So let's check out this clip here. It's kind of, if I remember correctly, it's kind of it's not the best audio, but it's a good one. Man, that person's having a freak out or seizure, maybe.
Oh, I saw this actually. So all these doctors were on stage when that was going on, and while it's
Yeah.
happening, they're all like looking around. They're like, "Can anyone get a doctor?" It's
Yeah.
like, who are you people? man?
These people, maybe these are I don't know what the lab coats are for if they're not doctors, but yeah, all these doctors on stage here, it's about to happen.
Nationwide.
And you noticed right there, he was going to continue with his speech while people were yelling medic from the crowd. And you know what they did to Trump when somebody had a freak out, or not freak out, but just medical, I don't know, something went wrong with this person in the crowd. They played music and Trump stood there and waited for like, I don't know, a half hour. And the left mainstream media, all the pundits and everybody came out and was like, Trump stood there and listened to music for 30 minutes while doing nothing, looking around. What an idiot. And it's like, he was having courtesy towards a person that was having an issue that, and so instead of just speaking and acting like this person wasn't going through something and being cold-hearted, he showed compassion and love for, the people that came there to see him, waited in long lines and stuff like that. Unlike what you see here by these folks here at a Kamala Harris gathering.
I can still remember the article right now. It was like, wow, is Trump as old? Is he showing signs of age? And they were using some kind of weird article where he's kind of just like waiting around for the doctors to take care of stuff. It's just these people cheat, lie, and steal, man. That's all I know.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, where's Dr. Jill? She could have come to the rescue. CT's coming out with the comedian stuff tonight. That's awesome. All right, let's play this.
I think someone needs some medical assistance over here.
You think? Well, she slapped him on the back. What was that all about?
I think someone needs some medical assistance over here.
Oh, okay, she just dropped her hand. I thought she slapped him on the back.
Yeah. Just like pointing, I guess.
And again, there she is. Anytime anybody dissents, speaks out, she's like, just send them to the small rally down the street. It's what she said last week when people were screaming Christ is King and Jesus is Lord. She wanted them to just go to the smaller rally down the street, which was actually bigger. And, that's to Eric Trump's point there from that first video where he's saying, no Christian should vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, it's crazy. And it's kind of a shame. I've come to find out that a huge part of the Christian community doesn't actually vote at all. Like pretty big numbers. And so, I
It's
mean,
like 32 million. 32
yeah,
million is what the rate was.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess maybe it's pastors worried about getting political in the pulpit or whatever, so they don't mention it. But I mean, this is something where I believe pastors around the nation should take a stance and say, hey, look, if you guys like your freedom, just whatever. I mean, these guys are super smart, in my opinion, or most of them are.
I mean, well, that's
And,
where I got a lot of my start, was covering what's wrong with the church. That was one of my original series when I was doing podcasting.
and the
And I've
fact that,
talked to, well, go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna,
Well, I was just gonna, oh,
yeah, you go. I was just gonna continue a little rant there, so you go ahead
I
and
apologize.
let me know. No,
No,
you're
all I
fine.
was gonna say was I was just gonna echo your point, really. I've talked to and had multiple pastors on my podcast now, and it's one thing where we kind of especially go into the fact that evangelism in its current form in most churches has become such a business. It's really less so about the actual mission. So a lot of these pastors just don't want to offend people, right? Because if you offend people, well, then they're going to leave. And if you have less people in your pews, well, that means there's less money coming in on tithes. And so it's kind of put a lot of these bigger
Yeah,
churches in positions where like they don't want to go beyond what's just okay to say because they don't want to threaten their bottom line. But you go ahead. That's all I was going to say.
I was gonna say the same thing. They're afraid that folks are gonna say, "Oh, I don't agree with that," and then stop tithing. And I hate to
Yeah.
say that, but that's just the way that I feel in my heart that um, these these pastors are afraid of losing some money. And I get it. A lot of them are operating week to week. But if you trust the Lord and you want what's best for the people, I mean, which, I think a good church does, then you would go out there and say, hey, look, this woman is out here kicking out people that love Jesus from her rallies. Like, we really need to get out there and vote, and we need to vote for the right person. I mean, I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
money rules more than the rest.
Yeah. It takes courage.
Too many
A lot of what
people.
these churches don't have.
Yeah. Which is crazy. It's really a shame. But let's continue here.
Yeah. Yeah.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. She couldn't even come up with that. She's just witch cackles. I decided this week, by the way, I'm not going to call her a cackling hen because that is a total insult to my beautiful chickens out there that provide me bunches of eggs. So it's a witch cackle, especially in celebration of the Halloween season. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, look at her. She's gonna try to pull that crap whenever she's overseas talking to Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or one of these powerful world leaders that already going into it don't have. No, I say it wrong, don't I?
Got me. Got me pretty good.
She you got me laughing. But these people already go into these meetings with a lesser respect for women, just from their own perspective, and she's gonna go over there and have these dumb one-liners. She's gonna try to laugh and totally, cost us as U.S. citizens potential wars, tax dollars funding wars, the lives of our young people, the whole potential, drafting and all that type of stuff. So I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Let's continue.
Been empowering for me. The teleprompter, I'm having a hard time seeing it, guys. I'm just being real here.
Dude, that's so embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, and then this is the.
Yeah.
She got checked pretty quick, but if I was that guy, I think my elbow might have jerked up a little bit. Hate to
Oh, I
say it,
mean,
but I mean that would
that's
just be
making the
my natural
rounds.
instinct to defend my child. Like, back the hell off. I mean, crazy.
It's one of those videos where it's so egregious that it's like, I mean, dude, I mean, it encapsulates what everybody already thinks about her base, right? These kind of just like mind rotten zombies who just like scream and shout. And to see it do to like a toddler, it gives you like a certain kind of feeling that you can't really explain besides like, no. Right. And I've seen many people say she deserves a slap, just how kind of you alluded to there as well. And you got
Right.
to give props though to the other supporter, the black lady. She immediately just like says like, whoa, no. And so, no, she probably believes the same kind of, stuff that we would kind of pick apart here. But it was at least nice to see that even she in that moment was like, no, like you're
Yeah,
not going to do that to a
you
toddler.
you've crossed the line there, lady. At least they got that going for them. But excuse me. Oh, are you surprised? Like, I was thinking about this as you were speaking. Are we really surprised? Coming from the same people that participated. I mean, frankly, I'm just gonna say all these are the same people that participated in the Summer of Love riots. Some of these people probably lived at the Chaz Chop area. A lot of these people want to defund the police. I mean, that's the same crowd, right? I mean, I'm not surprised to see them start acting unruly so quickly. And the worst part about it is, no matter how bad the Democratic Party lets them down, they're still going to go out there and vote for them. It's
Yep.
and they want to say that MAGA or America First or Trump supporters or whatever you want to call us, call me, whatever, call them, are in a cult. But there's been countless amount of times where we disagree with what Donald Trump has said or done or whatever. It's so
What's
weird.
the party of giving death threats to a McDonald's manager because he let Trump work at the drive-thru? It's like, we've already reached the far ends of what political violence can even bring about. And that's why you have even the media, even mainstream media. It's kind of left alternate media. Mainstream media is even writing, I think an article from the Daily Mail just the other day was like, we're in the middle of a civil war. So even most people, even if they're not politically in tune, have this kind of forgive me, feeling that like things are in a very violent place. And it's like, do they fall back or do they continually escalate? And if history says anything, they always escalate to a point of no return.
Yeah, 100%. And then I got this next one. It's another angle of what's going on. Basically, this one's from Alex Stein. 30,000 people were mad as hell once Beyonce left the Kamala rally without performing. Total bait and switch operation. And here's the other thing too is the mainstream media would be going nuts if Donald Trump tried to pull some kind of this same thing, right? You know what I'm saying? They would be trying to make Donald Trump, this user, whatever, taking advantage of his crowd. He doesn't even like you, blah blah blah. You know how they would say. Looks like we lost your camera. Oh, you're
You had to
back.
blow my nose. I don't want to do it on camera.
You're good. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this.
The Kamala Harris rally in Houston, Texas was absolutely insane. You saw Beyonce and Kelly Rowland walked out. Kelly looked like Beetlejuice. And then after that, Kamala walks out, right? She gives him the hug, and everybody's so mad because they're like, what? Beyonce only spoke for 3 minutes? I thought we were going to get a free concert. Wait, what? What's going on? Wait, why is she hugging Kamala? I thought this was a concert. Oh, and then Kelly and Beyonce have a nice little moment, reminiscing. And then everybody realizes it was a bait and switch, and they walk their butts out.
Yeah, look at them. They're lined up.
Kamala got on that dang stage. Everybody was pissed off, rightfully so.
Dang.
They duped the entire city of Houston, Texas. 30,000 pissed off people right before an election less than 2 weeks away. What is Kamala Harris thinking? It was a night to forget, I'll tell you that much. Kamala Harris should be ashamed.
Was that the same thing that we were talking about with beforehand in the green room that Alex Rosen got kicked out of, or was that a different event?
Yeah, same event. I have I don't know if I actually saved any videos of it, but there's plenty of if you just go to his page of him getting into a fight with another guy over their phone. He did, I think, eventually get walked out in handcuffs. I don't know if he got arrested or not, though.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm trying to look at what's it. I can't believe that woman got down in that little girl's face and like yelled at her with a little gesture.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that.
Oh, dude, it's. I mean, but it tracks though, right? Like I seen it and was mad, but no part of me was like surprised. Like, whoa, someone really did that. It was like, I can expect that from you.
Coming from the party that has no respect or love for children, or you know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
It's not a surprise.
I'll just
See
do a
here.
quick search for I Fight for Kids, see if I can find him getting pulled out.
Okay. Forgive me, I keep coughing. You got this lovely mute button that's just so cool. I like pushing it.
Oh, here we go. I got a 3-minute version of it. It's literally pinned on his page. I'll message it to you real quick.
Okay, or can you load it into the
Oh yeah, I can pull it
either
up.
way, however you want to do it. I'm looking at this next thing here. Claims he's ducking interviews. Okay. Okay. Goodness gracious, this is hilarious. All right, let me go ahead and pull that up. Sorry about that. Getting to the
No,
point
you're
where
good.
we need a producer to look at this type of stuff and watch chat for us. I wonder how
we're
much
not-
Beyonce got paid for that. You know, she didn't do that just voluntarily. Or at least I don't think she did.
No, but she already sold her soul a long time ago.
Let's see here. Yeah, for real. The irony of Beyonce saying she's voting for Kamala because she's a mother and then in the same breath endorsing and promoting abortion. Yeah, for real. Like that's the complete hypocrisy. And Kamala's like she's a stepmother or whatever to adult, children, but she doesn't have any kids of her own. It's so weird. She tried to cater to parents. She tried to relate to parents the other day when she was on the Anderson Cooper too. She's like, you know how it is being a parent. You're not perfect all the time. It's like, you don't know that. What are you talking about?
I'm glad you caught that too, because I believe she became a stepmother when there's two of them. She became a stepmother when they were 20 and 15 years old.
Right.
So it's like, if anything, it's like you maybe dealt with teenagers, but even at that, you kind of probably had like a friend relationship with them by the time they were out of the house.
Yeah. And then, how bad form is it with Jay-Z and Beyonce in the Diddy rumors? You know what I mean? That's, I'm not trying to say they did or didn't do anything, but it's just kind of like bringing up a Jeffrey Epstein associate essentially to try to promote yourself. It's just kind of just bad form, like super bad form, honestly.
Cringe. All right, let me go ahead and play this. Make sure the volume is okay because I'm sharing it from my end.
Okay.
If it's too quiet, let me know.
Yeah. I don't hear anything actually.
Oh, you don't hear anything?
Huh.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and Eminem. Yeah, true. Which Eminem's the guy that talked about, he hated Hillary Clinton in the late 90s, and now all of a sudden he's like a shill for the same party. It's just like, yeah. Give me a break.
Oh, that's what I didn't do. That makes sense.
Didn't include the audio.
Yeah, dude, I do this too often to be forgetting that.
Yeah, it's kind of sucks that they make you check that. It should just be like uncheck it if you don't want it. It should be default on there.
I know. You might have to bring it up to stage again.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, everybody let me know if it's too loud or too quiet.
All right, go time. I gotta get to my seat. I'm sorry. It's over there on that side. I'm sorry. Hey, Kamala! Why are all your friends with P. Diddy? Kamala! Why are all your friends with P. Diddy? Kamala! Why are all your friends with P. Diddy? Kamala! Why are all your friends with P. Diddy? Kamala! Why are all your friends with P. Diddy? Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
He's getting mobbed.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Dang.
Don't you dare! 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 Don't you dare!
It's hard to see him here. I'll just give an explainer because there's another video angle I saw of this. There's people trying to take his phone from him right now. So that's what he's responding to on this.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
See, and for those of you guys that don't know, this guy is a dude that busts pedos regularly on camera. He'll set up like a, pose as a young girl online, and then he meets up with these guys and calls the cops and get these dudes busted. So this guy's fighting a good fight. Alex Rosen, that was
Yeah.
okay. For some reason, I was thinking wasn't Alex for a second. So I mean, yeah, that guy's. He also got kicked out of a Hillary Clinton rally. Famously, I think it was a Hillary Clinton rally, or maybe as a
He's
speech.
been kicked out of a lot of places.
There was a couple of them that like were like kind of more mainstream or whatever.
It could be. And to find him, it's I Fight for Kids. You can probably see that watermark in the middle of the screen on the video. It's pretty simple one.
It's pretty small actually, but you can kind of see it right there. I Fight for Kids.
Yep. Right here in the middle. But okay, I'll go ahead and play the rest out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't you try it. Don't you try it. Don't you try it. Hey. Don't, come on. Let's go. Don't you dare try it. Let's go. Come on. Don't you dare try it. All Kamala's friends are P. Diddy's friends. All Kamala's friends are Hey, stole my phone. He stole my phone. He just stole my phone.
You just got energy, man.
And cojones.
I'm moving. Dude, he threw my phone.
They straight up arrested him in handcuffs.
Yeah.
No.
I thought I saw that.
They were coming at me. I didn't swing at anybody. He threw my phone. Yeah,
Dang.
Sure, we can go outside. I'm not resisting. That's fine.
The white guy for Kamala.
He threw my phone, sir. That black dude took my phone from me. I didn't touch anybody. He threw my phone. He took my phone and threw it, sir. So how are y'all not going to get him for that? He touched my property. I didn't touch them at all.
Because you're a disruptor.
Well,
You go to the small one down the street.
okay.
He's going to use Kamala's line on him.
Hey, so how would he have my phone if he wasn't trying to grab it? How? Okay, but how would he have my phone if he wasn't trying to grab it? There was a ton of
You handed it to him, duh. Everybody hands their phone to somebody else that's attacking them.
anybody. How could I touch somebody with my phone's in my hand?
I wonder if he got his phone
Apparently,
back.
when my property's grabbed, when I'm assaulted by a bunch
Well,
of
the video came out, so I assume he got it back, or whoever got it posted the video.
ROSEN, sir. Rosen ROSEN. One more time. I know I'm not being charged. I didn't commit a crime. It's a Rosen ROSEN.
It's funny.
And then Bella B said Kamala also had a church member escorted out by the cops. Yeah, that was like last week where they were screaming, Jesus is Lord and Christ is King. And she told him, y'all at the wrong rally. It's like, yeah, apparently a bunch of devil worshippers at yours.
Yeah, you got a party over there.
For real.
White privilege. Yeah, and Jay says he looks like he jumped off the couch, dropped the potato chips, and went straight over there. He is a bigger guy.
It happens. Oh, no, in an actual church. So a different story.
Yeah, I actually saw a little bit about what Bella B is talking about. It was like literally the day after the infamous remarks that happened, because it seemed like it was kind of a rush PR stunt to like not lose the evangelicals.
Oh, so they put her in a church to give a speech? I see.
Yep. And people confronted her about that thing that had happened the day before, and they forced them out. I didn't see a video, but I did see a picture of them getting escorted out.
Wow, that is, I mean, said it before, I'll say it again. I don't understand why any, Christian would go vote for her. I mean, crazy.
Well, Trump is literally Hitler.
Crazy.
That's why,
Yeah. Matt says, say no to communism, say yes to freedom, vote Trump, make it too big to rig, too real to steal. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Matt. And, to that effect, I encourage everybody to get out there and vote early. It's nice to see there's actually been a higher turnout from Republicans in the early vote. And, it's just to avoid anything that could potentially happen to an individual. Not that they would try to, spyware attack or hack into like voting machines or anything like that. Just like we saw how CrowdStrike, when they shut down the credit card machines or whatever it was a couple months ago, basically flights couldn't process. So if somebody's out of town the day before and they're like, I'll be home in time to vote, and then they can't fly home, just certain instances where you just never know. So to avoid that type of scenario, if you got a couple hours free and early voting is open, I encourage folks to just go out there and get it done. And it's fine if people want to wait till the last day too. I mean, Trump's going to need a big rush of votes on the last day on actual election day as well. So the main thing is to just get it done. That's for sure. Yeah, I agree, Corey. They would try anything, and they're going to. They're going to try anything and everything.
No, exactly. I mean, this is one thing I think about too a lot. Not even just like with voter turnout, but I really am still beholden a little bit, I think, to the fact that they may attempt some form of, and just for YouTube's sake, fortifying the election one way or the other. In what form that takes, I think we're seeing it in the fact that you have different states coming out and saying, "Oh no, it looks like it's going to take us 13 days to tabulate the votes," or "Oh no, we're actually going to accept votes 14 days after the election." And it's like, I have an odd feeling that we may get something like that, where it's like, Trump wins day 1, and it's like on day 8, they're like, "Oh, look at all these Kamala votes coming in." Like, man, see, mail-in voting is a Democrat process. And it's like, I just, what happens then? Because I think at this point it's so public that my only foreseeable future is that people, maybe this doesn't preclude instant violence or anything, but maybe people are just like, I don't recognize the authority here anymore. It's such a joke. Like, people just go to that position like it's so rigged. They're like, how can I even acknowledge any of these authorities anymore? And then if you lose faith in a system like that, I mean, then that does preclude violence in the long run.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So something just happened with StreamYard. I can't put any more comments on the screen. Hopefully that'll resolve itself here. They're going to cheat is going to be stuck for a little while, you guys.
It's a good one though.
Yeah.
Oh, so it looks like Worrell is gone. Okay, well, if it's just me, guys, I don't have any access to any of the controls, actually. Hopefully Worrell can reconnect here in a little bit. I don't know if I lost connection from you guys as well. Hopefully not, though. I'll wait and see if Worrell messages me real quick to see what's going on. There we go.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I guess apparently I couldn't change it on the screen because StreamYard was trying to kick me out. I messed up today. My computer needs a refresh to update. I meant to do that today, and I totally I had a busy day. I have a business call every Saturday at 3 p.m. Usually only lasts about an hour, and this one lasted 2 hours, and it threw my whole schedule off for the rest of the day. So apologize about that.
I thought I was going to have to do solo show. I was like, it's back to offensively accurate, rebranding it.
So anyways, let's see here. I'll hide that now. Okay, we're up and we're running now. Looks like an appeals court eliminated. I want to see this. Looks like an appeals court eliminated the postmark by midnight election day to having to be had in the election office. It'll make this still tougher. Yeah, that was a good ruling, I thought. Yeah, Joe won from his basement for real. Trump was packing arenas and Joe couldn't fill the it's doing it again. Am I gonna get kicked out again? Oh no. Okay, there we go.
Let's hope not.
I have a good connection, so I don't know why it's doing that. Doesn't like what we're saying.
That's actually becomes more of a possibility, man. Right.
But Joe won from his basement. And I was just gonna say that it's one of those things where Joe couldn't fill, everybody had like the 6-foot spacing circles, and he couldn't even fill all the circles at his rallies, but Trump was packing arenas and stuff, which I actually got to go to one of those rallies during that and it was awesome. Nobody gave a crap about what was going on with the pandemic. Everybody was happy, wearing their MAGA gear and stuff. And I think I mentioned this before, but I was about close enough to Trump where I could probably play catch with him with a baseball and a glove and stuff like that. So it was really cool.
Yeah. I did put up the real clear politics map. Actually, I gotta zoom in a little bit.
Okay,
Give
I
you
got
something
it.
to see.
Do you want to read that here? I'll go full screen with it. You want to read that, and I have to add my stuff back to the stage.
Oh yeah, go ahead. So this is the 2024 national Trump versus Harris for the 2024 election. This is actually like the national averages and spreads here. And what's crazy is this is the RCP average right here. So this is Real Clear Politics average. If you put it on screen again, there we go. So it's Trump 0.1 spread right now. And that's ending in the cycle, which was the 25th, which I believe was yesterday. So this is like the finalization of what would have been yesterday. So this doesn't include any of what we would have gotten with the GRE explosion, which I would imagine would swing it a couple points. I would imagine generally doesn't have much major effects beyond just a couple point swings, and there's major effects like that. But multiple in a row can generate some pretty big swings. And you can see even CNN's got it at a tie. The New York Times has it as a tie. And if you look, we can see that the Morning Consult, which is someplace I never go to, is +4 for Harris. And then you have Reuters as well down here going +4 or +3 for Harris. Now, one that kind of shocked me is even CNBC has Trump up 2 with a 2-point spread here. And these, again, are predictions off of their polling models. And they're all different polling models, too. So we can't really, I guess, trust that they're all the same kind of model, but it's each of their own kind of put together, and then we kind of generate a national average. But Fox News, Trump +2. But again, the one that shocks me the most is the CNBC, because I think most of us understand in the last decade, they've moved to a very, very left position, not even like a moderate left, but definitely one that is appealable to the very progressives. And so with this, I guess, being so starkly different, I think, than where we are with what we're getting in the betting market, it gives me room to pause, because what I've seen from a lot of other commentators who I actually trust, namely people like, the Quartering and a few others, have kind of pointed out the fact that because the poly market is one that is a money market, it's one that people can actually kind of swing a lot more heavily with dumping a lot of money into it. And I think right now, I mean, the poly market is sitting at like $1 billion, $2 billion of people putting bets onto things. And so when you have situations like that, you can have somebody radically swinging if they pull in, like $2, $3, $4 million bets at once. And a
It's
lot of those kind of rapid
1.4
fire.
billion.
Yeah, 1.4 billion. And so I guess I'm a little hesitant to view the poly market as the singular one. That's one that's a bit more for the people. But I think if you go somewhere in between where we are here, Trump definitely still has the lead. If you're looking at RCP averages, Trump with a minor margin at that, but then you compare it with the poly market as well, I think Trump's definitely ahead by a few points.
Right. And that's pretty much where I am too. It's crazy that I like showing the poly market because, which I'll put it on the screen here. I like showing the poly market because excuse me. It's kind of like the Vegas gambling odds, essentially. It's where real money is involved. Like you said, over $1 billion. I'll scroll down. You can see here there's 866,500,000 for on the Trump side, and 549,500,000 on the Kamala Harris side. So it's just kind of a different style of polling. It's a different representation. But I mean, when you think of it, for me, you think of it as like the Vegas gambling kind of odds. I don't know. It just rings kind of stronger and truer almost to me than a polling, because like I see here, our polls stupid or are voters stupid. And I think that
both can be true.
Well, when it comes to polling, it matters who they call, and it also matters on who is actually like funding that poll. I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems like bad business if a Republican or a Democrat group hire you to do this poll, and then you come out and say that the opponent is favored to win. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's selective phone calls. I like to ask, how many of you guys have actually been called and polled this year? You know, I haven't. I'm willing to bet probably everybody in chat hasn't as well.
Right.
And, you know, so I don't know. It's a sample size, and I don't want to discredit polling, but at the same time, I think that where people put their money where their mouth is in the poly market, it just rings a little bit truer to where the people stand. I actually, you know, I got this that I can show you guys that I thought was pretty cool. I retweeted it or reposted it. Twitter's the old tweet and Twitter's the old guard.
I just saw the TNT Psychos comment though. I can't believe Jeremy's going to hire Hannah Claire Brimalow. She's like a redheaded Kamala, talks for minutes and says nothing. You know, I'm glad that I know it might be the minority position, but I do agree with you, TNT. For someone who's like a very avid like podcast enjoyer, having her kind of do that kind of saying nothing and taking up space, I don't like it. Like I'd rather listen to Ian Crossland go on some kind of tangent.
Take care,
and then
Chris.
say
Have a good
something.
dinner. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine. Then listen to kind of like babbling from HCB. I think she's a nice girl, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. I mean, meh. It is what it is. But I wanted to show you guys this. I thought this was interesting. A little bit, you know. I mean, it's another small sample size. 162. I guess I got to make that bigger. 162,000 people have voted. There's still 3 hours left. And this is on X, which is funny because like they want to say this notoriously like right wing now, when Twitter was rampant, vile left essentially before Elon Musk took over. But you see, out of 162,336 voters, 96%, and this is put up by the Joe Rogan podcast, by the way. Might as well put a poll here. 96.4% of the people that have responded say they're going to vote for Trump versus 3.6% for Harris. I mean, I know this isn't people showing up to the polls. This is just people clicking, but man, that's a huge gap.
Yeah. You know, I think that solves the narrative of, you know, not Donald Trump. Joe Rogan has a podcast that reaches moderates. I think maybe more so it's the fact that Kamala Harris just like cannot break into the moderate market. Like moderates for no reason are going to be willing to vote for her. You know, she brings nothing to the table. She's a continuation of the previous administration. It's everything that I think we all kind of were guessing that was going to happen. And then it happened. And here we are.
Gotcha.
So Sock's been pulled. Okay. So they're finding a few.
Joe was still in. Yeah, I see this one. Hey, hillbilly in a hat. I early voted Harris in Michigan. Well, I mean, cool story.
Well,
Yeehaw!
you know, hey, white men for Harris.
Oh yeah, since we had landlines, that's funny. Oh, Chris, you're sticking around. Okay, cool. Let's see, sweetheart, but
Oh,
yeah,
I just realized that JoJo Man's on my page. Why are you on my page? How did you find me? Kamal the voter.
Let me guess. You think that we love Putin? Little inside joke there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's a sweetheart. Holy shit, that's a large sample size. Yeah, I mean, 166,000 people is pretty significant. Yeah, MSNBC, that's funny. MSNBC, 96% of Joe Rogan fans are Nazis.
Yeah.
For real, that's what we're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah, that's where they're going to take it.
But I wanted to go over here next and show this. We both actually, separate from each other, put this one in our agenda. So this was a post from Tim Pool. Oh my God, listen to this. These clips of Kamala are disqualifying. Let's go ahead and load that up.
I even sent this one to a couple of my normie friends. It's one that's like, it doesn't even matter what your politics are. You see somebody talk like this, you're like, whoa.
And before we play this, JB said, heard anything about the war overseas, guys? I saw yesterday, I get notifications on my phone from the Daily Wire. And so, they try to give a lot of the news as it relates to Ben Shapiro's favorite country. And I saw that they're hitting targets in Iran, military bases or something like that. But I just read the headline. I didn't actually get into the article.
He said that, and I was like, which war? You got a couple to pick from.
Right. The potential war in Taiwan or yeah.
Yeah, Ukraine, Russia, Israel.
Yeah, it's great. It's crazy. TNT, I'll laugh my ass off if Israel takes over Iran, right? Trump get in there, make them poor, and then Israel just makes it. I don't know where they're located, but northern Israel, western Israel. I don't know.
Yeah, the Greater Israel Project. I think that's what it's called.
Is it? Has a name?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yeah. The IDF were recently wearing patches. There was like a silhouette, and obviously had Israel like colored in gold. But then even outside the lines was circled in, I believe, Lebanon, Iran, and there's another country I'm not thinking of, because obviously their goal is eventually to retake all that area.
That's a classic FAFO.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and play this one here.
Dear Kamala Harris, let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
A huge what?
I'm glad you got that. I wasn't going to say.
Was there a D in there? I don't know.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops like wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicides.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money, because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message to all Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
As men and protectors of women and children, you are simply a risk we are not willing to take.
Paid for by Maha Alliance.
and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I don't know about you guys, but that voice, that, you know, like the narrator voice could probably convince me to do anything.
I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm focused on just how despicable what I just heard was.
It's incredibly despicable.
You know, I made this point to you in the green room. Like, when have you heard Kamala ever be so articulate and so able to get her points across outside of for nefarious purposes? Right? Like, she couldn't tell you anything about the border wall right now. She'd go, haha, you know, tomorrow is today, but tomorrow is. But when you're like, do you want to ruin people's lives? She's like, oh, yes. And let me tell you this plan that I have that I'll do X, Y, and Z. It's like, I mean, something's just not right there.
The with the swipe of my pen is a great representation of the fact that they seek power. They love power. Where, you know, I feel like Donald Trump resisted the power. They asked him for decades, when are you going to run for president? And he resisted it until, you know, the later years of his life when he finally had enough. And any power that I feel like they try to give him is him basically giving it back to the people, or him representing the people, if it's, you know, on like a foreign scale. And so the fact that, you know, you heard Hillary Clinton talk about the power a lot, and you don't really see, I don't think you ever see, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen Trump say, you know, refer to gaining power. You know what I mean? And it's scary because, you know, they want to call Trump this wannabe dictator and all this stuff or whatever. But really, I mean, when all you can talk about is power, you're the one. Sorry, my wife just came home.
Yeah.
Minnie's sleeping down here. I got my little baby sleeping at my feet. Here, I'll lift her up for you. She's got a cute little shirt on.
Oh, she's wearing a shirt. I hope it's not a KC jersey.
It's not. It's pink. She's a Yorkie poo. Hey, puppy. Not a puppy, though. She's like 12. Anyway, sorry about that. love my babies. But yeah, they do. I mean, it's crazy to me how they talk about power so often. And it's like, don't you guys listen? Can't you hear what they're saying? I mean, I don't know. It's very crazy.
No, 100%. I mean, it's, you know, they'll take anything of his out of context, right? But seeing that, it's like, dude, there's just, how do people not see it? You know, how do people not see these kinds of just like outright? I mean, to me, it's like it reeks of evil. You know, I'm not even afraid to say it, dude. I think someone like that is like, whether they're possessed by something or not, you know, maybe she did sell her soul on the way up that ladder she climbed by doing sexual favors for who knows who. And, you know, it's like, how can you even halfway attempt to pretend that you're behind something like that?
Right. I woke her up. Now she wants out of the room. Give me 1 second.
Oh, you're good.
Can you hear her moaning at the door going?
No, actually. At least I can't. Maybe anybody else can. Sock said poodles for the win, even half breeds.
That was really funny.
I'm a short-haired dog myself, to be honest.
She doesn't shed, so it's really cool. My other two big dogs, they shed though.
Yeah, me being allergic, dude, I'd be struggling.
Yeah, then I saw this here from TNT Cycles. Not getting paid by the federal government for a kid not being in school that day isn't losing money. I thought that was a weird like point she tried to make too. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Maybe it's like one of those things where if you don't spend enough money in the budget, it's something they actually do here in Florida. It's really, really wild, but you know, they have like their budget, and if they're under budget by the end of the year, what they do is they go and they buy a bunch of palm trees, and then they put them all in like the roads, like in the medians and stuff like that. Because if you don't spend it, you lose it the next year. So you're expected to spend less the next year. So they beat the system, and they go and buy these palm trees and put them everywhere and the thoroughfares and stuff like that. But hey, Michael, nice to see you here. Saw
No, I
that.
was curious maybe if it's like a there's a federal programming branch where if they have a specific threshold of like attendance they must hit to make sure they get enough money, they
Right here,
lose it
Chris.
because kids aren't showing up. KC Royals baseball fans
Yeah.
disappointed in the Guardians.
Watching the Yankees play the Royals this playoff season was like, oh, Bob Costas and his co-host were the worst. They didn't know nothing. They didn't know a damn thing about the Royals. So when the Royals are batting, they're talking about the Yankees pitcher, and then when the Yankees are batting, they're talking about every single Yankees batter. And it's like, you can't say anything about the Royals. This is like, we haven't been to the playoffs in 10 years, and y'all can't say nothing about the Royals. Come on, bro. Sorry, derailed there, but I got things to say about baseball.
It's fair though because it's the World Series right now.
Yeah. That was cool though. That walk-off grand slam last night was pretty dope. Although they intentionally walked old boy, and I needed him to get a hit to hit a 6-way parlay. So that sucked. At the end, I was one hit away.
We have cats better than dogs, the real hot take. I don't know. I can't agree with that.
That is a hot take, but I respect it.
Somebody sounds like a Kamala voter.
Yeah, Freeman just hit that one out. It was a no-doubter. That was actually really cool to watch as a baseball fan. Haven't watched since Oral Hershiser. So let's go over here and let's take a look at this. Ollie London, we showed one of his posts last week. Michelle Obama takes a jab at Trump, claiming he is ducking interviews and cowering in safe spaces. And this isn't the first time that we've heard people on the left, the woke pundits, essentially saying that Donald Trump is dodging Kamala. Remember, they said that he didn't want to debate her, and then he went and had a debate with her, and then they're like, they need to debate again, and he's like, no, I'm not doing it. I've already done 2, and so they. Excuse me, I keep hiccuping. So they basically, they want to try to play these games. They want to try to set the narrative, as Cenk Uygur would word it. They're framing the situation, and this is Michelle Obama doing more of the same.
She's putting herself out there fearlessly, facing down even her harshest critics. She's seeking out Republicans to find common ground. And unlike her opponent, she's not ducking interviews or cowering in safe spaces only with fawning audiences. No, she's showing us what a sane, stable leader looks like. She's putting herself out.
Is it just me, or is she rocking a hella comb over?
Yeah. It looks like she got busted in the mouth too, like her teeth are gone.
I mean, that comb over is strong.
She got a gap, dude. She got the straight hand gap.
Michael got the comb over going. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, Big Mike. I mean, what I will say about that is, like, imagine saying that when Trump just did a 3-hour interview, no cuts, no interruptions with Joe Rogan, when everybody knows that Joe Rogan is hesitant to take Trump's position or backing or be behind him, send his endorsement, because Joe Rogan's an RFK guy. But I guess right now, Trump's or Rogan's probably going to back up Rogan now because of that fact. But to act like he's hiding from people, it's like, I mean, for one, I'd be hiding people if I was trying to get shot at all the time too. He's got an excuse.
Yeah, they didn't say anything about Obama when he did. Well, maybe they did actually. They mentioned it, but they didn't like talk down to him when he did every single one of his speeches behind bulletproof glass. It took Trump to getting shot in the ear before he actually went and did it. But
yeah.
Rock cowers at Michael in the bedroom. Oh, you guys are cracking up. That's funny. So we're gonna move on with the latest. It feels like this happened, a long time ago, but it was all this week. And so, what we do is we try to just cover the stuff that happened in this last week up to the most current of things. Oh, but before we do, I wanted to say it's too bad that Joe Rogan copyright claims, which, it doesn't matter. Every single one of our streams gets copyright claimed anyways for some reason. They're really hard on us. So about that, I don't even know why, really. I mean, is total commentary fair use. But there was a couple parts in that Joe Rogan interview with Donald Trump where, Donald Trump was being a comedian and Joe Rogan was giving him his props for being like a really good, well-timed comedian with some of the stuff that he says. So it's nice to see that something that I've said before is that the left doesn't understand that Trump is a comedian. He says funny things intentionally to make you laugh, and it triggers the left, oftentimes. But, that just is what it is, and it just goes to show that they don't have a sense of humor. But they were talking about would Kamala go on Rogan's show, and Trump was like, she wouldn't be able to do it. She'd be laying on the floor crying. And Joe was like, no, I would just have a conversation with her, and I wouldn't grill her. It wouldn't be an interview. And Trump was just like, nah, she's gonna be on the floor crying. She can't handle this. She can't sit here and talk to you for 3 hours. It was just really funny.
It's real though.
That's real for sure. I mean, I don't think she can maintain a 3-hour conversation. But Trump ended it by saying, well, I hope she does. I mean, because it would just make
I think we all want to see that experience.
Cora, thanks for coming and watching. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night.
See you, Cora.
Let's see here. All right. So let's go ahead and play this. This is actually 6 minutes long, but this is good. This was an ultimate troll job by Trump. That's why I wanted to lead in with the little Joe Rogan comments, because he is a comedian, but he's, sometimes they say he plays like 4D chess or 3D chess or whatever. But this is just him really stepping in stride, like I said at the beginning, and really just hitting the nail right on the head with a hammer when pretty much everything that he does.
Yep. King McDonald Trump.
And I guess I should set this up. Kamala Harris claims that she worked for McDonald's. She's trying to connect with the middle class while wearing her $800 earrings and things like that, by claiming that she worked at McDonald's growing up or whatever, right? And Donald Trump went ahead and does this in response. I mean, massive crowds.
Yep.
Massive crowds.
Yeah, plug yourself, Chris. I just saw that comment. Totally fine with that.
Oh yeah, Chris, definitely. You guys definitely check out Chris Stockholm's channel. He goes live rather often, and nice cool chats, intimate session or whatever, where everybody's just kind of hanging out and chilling. It's a lot of these same folks here today, so I appreciate you for actually a reason why a lot of these folks are here is because I went into Chris's chat, went into his stream last week and asked him if they wouldn't mind coming and checking us out. And so I'm glad to see everybody back. That's really cool. And definitely Chris, go check him out on his channel as well. I believe it's spelled just the same as Chris here. I'll put it in the put it on the screen.
Is it a Penn State
JB
logo?
giving head in the bathroom at McDonald's doesn't mean that you work there.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Accurate.
Or in the parking lot in the car. But Chris, I'll read that for you. He goes live almost every day at 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. And he does have a Discord. I don't know if I can share that link in the description, but I will. Yeah. I'll put that in the description right now. Sorry about that, you guys. I want to help. I want to definitely share Chris's channel. He's a good guy, a good friend, and let's see here. I appreciate everybody's patience while I do this, but
Let me see if I can do it.
and it's done. Just gotta save it.
Oh, I guess
Okay.
it only goes to my channel.
So it should be in the
But on
Discord.
my channel, I posted a link to Chris's page.
Okay, cool. Great. All right, sorry about that, y'all. But definitely one thing that Chris said last week is we all got to help each other out. And I wholeheartedly agree. I almost wanted to make the joke and say full-throatedly like those like the commercial, the white guys for Harris, but I wholeheartedly agree with that. We all got to help each other out. And so to that point, definitely check him out. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue with this. I'm going to skip past some of this. Okay. All right, here we go. Feel free to steal that joke.
It's the king.
Yeah, Chris, that's awesome. That's the way we should all try to be.
Hello, sir. How you doing? Well, big guy. There you go. He knows a lot of big guys. That's great. Thank you.
I'm going to crank that up a little bit. Tell me if it's too loud. I don't think it is, though. I think the other ones were way louder.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Mr. Trump, what's your favorite thing to order at McDonald's?
I like it all. I like it. There's everything. But I do like the French fries while they're working. I listened to Kamala. She said it was so hot. It was so hot. It was such a tough job. But then you have a man that's been doing it for many years. We're going to simply learn how to do it right now. Thank you.
I think it'd be really cool to be this next guy that teaches him how to do the fries. Like, I'd be sitting there telling myself in my head, like, I can't believe I'm really teaching Donald Trump how to make fries. Like, it'd be so awesome.
Yeah.
What percentage of medium fries? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think each location is a little different. Yeah. And then once these come up, I'll salt them. I'll make it. I'm asking 2 hands. And then you can go right into here on the left. Yep, slowly, right here. Slowly, gently lower it into the oil.
Yo, cracking me up.
Yeah. There you go. And then we're gonna hit our fry timer right here. That one's going good. Now we can drop another one too. So we'll grab one more basket, 2 hands. Yep. We're gonna put it right here. Lower it slowly into the oil, don't let it burn. Then we're just gonna hit our fry timer right here.
Right there. Yep. Well, that's a good looking group. Hello, everybody. This is not a normal situation, is it? What a good looking family. How did you produce those? Oh, they look like they look like the How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you.
Right. Appreciate all the
Thank you. And there'll be no charge. Trump is paying for it. Is that okay? Oh, you're going to some extra stuff.
Oh, okay, great.
This is all on Trump.
Oh,
I'm allowed to do that, right?
yeah. Let's check and make sure it's everything you said it would be.
It better be. It's going to be the best yet. I made it myself.
You're the man. Thank you
So
very
cool.
much.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good time. Have a good time. That's great. Right? We got the salt on it. Never touches the human hand.
Very good.
Nice and full.
Thank you.
Good. It's cute. This is fun. I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, thank
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
please don't let the United States become Brazil, my native Brazil.
We'll keep it
Please,
good.
please, please.
We're going to make it better than ever, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Mr. President.
Compliments of Trump.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You slammed that window.
Right.
Have a good time.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you. It's a great franchise. It's a great company, and they've been very, very nice. And come on, you know, if you look at really what's happening, look at the crowd over there. Look how happy everybody is. They're happy because they want hope. They need hope.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to give. Much more than hope.
What does working the fryer tell you about the people of Pennsylvania?
Make it back.
Mr. President, you actually have worked at McDonald's now. This is,
Now I
That guy just said, "What does working the fryer tell you about the people of Pennsylvania?" What kind of I got one question I get to ask the president. I'm going to ask him that. I'm sorry, but that was just
He was in the moment. His brain wasn't working.
right. I'll chalk that up to he was just excited.
Yeah.
I have worked at McDonald's. I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala.
Are you going to put this on your
I
resume?
never worked here.
Why would she
on your
lie about
resume.
something like that? Will it be put on your resume?
I worked at McDonald's.
Why would she lie about that?
Why? Because she's lying, Kamala. That's amazing business. It's an amazing country. And we're going to make America greater than ever before. We're going to do it.
Are you going to see Aaron
Rodgers? Look at the enthusiasm. I mean, that's thousands of people over there. They go miles back. That's incredible. So, look at that.
Are you going to give Aaron Rodgers
what's your lunch order?
Raise the minimum wage, Mr. President.
Pittsburgh game tonight, and we look forward to it. And it should be a good game. And yeah, good team. They have a great coach. Pittsburgh, great coach. And we'll see how it is.
Tell us about getting started in your own career, Mr. President. How did you tell us about those jobs that people take early on to try to make a break and how you did it?
It's a great job to take. It requires expertise. I'm going through the French fry stuff. It's a whole.
What have you learned?
Did you learn anything new?
And it requires great expertise, actually.
They were asking those questions about Aaron Rodgers because I forgot the day that he did that. Because he's in Pennsylvania, was where this was at.
Yeah.
He
He's
went
in
to the
Bucks
Pittsburgh
County.
game.
Okay, that's right.
And that's when like they didn't show him on screen at all. I think they did at the beginning, but then they refused to pan to him. And they
I
were
don't
playing
think
the
they
New York
showed him,
Jets.
but they talked about it. But yeah, I saw
Right.
that.
Well, you know, if it was Kamala, they'd be like, "Look at that! Wow, would you look at that?" You know, they'd have Chris Collinsworth and whoever else being like, "Man," you know, they'd be clapping for it. When it's
Right.
Trump,
Well, I mean,
they're
as a
like,
Chiefs fan, they're always showing Taylor Swift. I mean, why wouldn't they
cringe.
show a former president when he's there? I mean, hey, you don't talk junk on Tay Tay.
Taylor Swift made me actually hate the Chiefs. It went from strong dislike to mortal enemy.
Right. So I wanted to read this here. American cheese sucks, but it still has soul. But I don't like any kind of cheese. I'm a weirdo. But McDonald's sucks. I'll agree with that. I haven't had McDonald's for like 15, 20 years, besides like a couple of them yogurt parfaits in the morning or something like that, which is just yogurt. They can't get that wrong. But
Find it a way.
right. Abigail Shepard said, "What kills me is the libs who are mad because this was staged like as if everything Kamala does isn't a skit. Basically, he's hysterical for doing this. Yeah, he is. I mean, it's a total troll job, but it's also a great way to connect. I mean, he made lifelong memories. Like Michael said, I believe that guy teaching him to make fries is going to remember that for the rest of his life. I mean, how cool. The woman that put the apron on him, she's always going to remember that when a president, came in and did this. It's really cool. Nobody else has seen this. You've never seen this before.
Right.
So I appreciate it.
Especially to follow up after Kamala did say that she worked at McDonald's and no one could prove it. And he was like, "You know what I'm going to do?"
Right. I thought it was a good question. You're going to put this on your resume? I hope he does. I hope right between 45th and 47th president, he has worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
That would be great. And then TNT Cycle said that he had fond memories of working at Dairy Queen drive-thru at 14. I had the same scenario, but I worked at Taco Bell. I ate me a lot of free tacos. And I tell you what, they taste much better inside the store right after you made it than once you get home. I don't know what it is, but they taste different. Oh, President Donald John Trump is in the house again, and he hates Taylor Swift. Figures.
Yeah, that's my
That
guy.
makes sense to me.
Me too, Trump. Me too.
How was working at McDonald's? Did you learn anything? I'll ask you the same question that guy did. What does learning how to work fries tell you about the people of Pennsylvania?
I know. So I learned it all.
Learned it all. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Sorry.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like the surroundings. Like, oh, okay. Talking about the other thing. Let's see what we got next here.
I was gonna say that's like pretty much it for the McDonald's thing.
It's just this
We
says
can go
this
to
is
the
a
town hall.
Norman Rockwell painting.
Yeah, I did like that. That's what I'm just gonna lead with.
I could have used that as a thumbnail. I had AI do the thing though. I thought it'd be cool to have them like handing out a jar openers symbol. That's what I did for the thumbnail. For this.
You know what image of Trump I used for the thumbnail? Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can share my screen. Oh, I don't know where it's at. Let me find it. Have you seen the Giga Chad Trump image?
I haven't.
I don't know if it's big enough. You can see it on.
Oh, let me add that. Sorry.
That's the one I use.
King McDonald.
It's the one that has like all the filters on it. King Giga Chad or Giga Chad.
Oh, that's good.
Good stuff.
Let's see here. Did you see the artist that was surrounded by people that applied him for simply climbing around a box? I didn't. Applauded him. Okay. No, I didn't see that.
There's so many of these ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the modern day artist, and it's a guy rolling around in mud, and people are like, "Oh,
I know."
wow."
I saw one years ago. This was in the late 90s. A woman was it was like one of those live art things like you're talking about. And a woman was squeezing lemons into her eyes. I was just like, that is not art. That is like self-torture. What are you doing?
I mean, it'd be art if she didn't like shut her eyes. She like does it and she just stares directly in the soul. It's like, okay, that's talent, I guess.
I hope you got paid a lot for that because that's ridiculous. Just paint a painting or something.
I was gonna say there's some of the town hall disaster clips, and I have a bunch of Joe Rogan clips from the actual the episode.
Yeah, if you want to play them, like I said, I'm not worried about getting demonetized or whatever. They're gonna take it. They're gonna demonetize it anyways.
Oh, you think for the JRE stuff?
Oh, they claim everything. They go through. They have a guy that claims everything.
Jamie.
So that's why I never even talk about or play any of his stuff on any of my regular videos throughout the week, which sucks. See you later, Chris. Hopefully some folks come over and join your streams and stuff like that, man. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother. Well, then we can just do the town hall then. I know that's kind of fun out of the news cycle a little bit with all of her bad moments with the not being able to answer questions.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer that Joe Rogan claims everything like he does. It's not. I don't even think it's a Spotify thing. I just think he has somebody on staff that goes through and literally just looks for anything and everything to claim.
He probably, being as rich as he is, probably pays for some ATS system that does it automatically for him.
I did one video on him, and it was Terrence Howard talking about all the crazy shapes and. You know, Terrence Howard's on this like crazy kick right now with like science stuff, and he sounds really smart. But then when the people that know what he's talking about comment on it, they're like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. But yeah, it got demonetized like instantly. It was like, dang, that was a waste of time.
Right. I know. I would just try to free and fair use it regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael's 9:30 here as well.
So this. It has a little description here, but I won't read everything.
Yeah, Chris, we'll definitely do a show together soon.
Oh, yeah, no, would love to. especially because we can pull in another guest in here, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe next week we could have Chris on with us. I don't know if he would want to do that or not, but we'll try to put it together in the next week or two. That'd be fine. That'd be cool.
Yeah, if you want to, Chris, make sure you get your handle out to either me or Worrell. That way I can send you the outline ahead of time so you can see what we have ready to do for the show.
Yeah.
But on screen, it's just people might not be familiar with this because it was so bad. And it's happened in the midst of like this pretty iconic week for the Trump campaign. But Colin Rugg organized like 7 of the worst moments, and there's a lot more than just these 7 too, of the Kamala Harris town hall. And this is her. Oh, okay, my bad.
So, sorry, I interrupted. I know he's trying to jump off, so I wanted to make sure I said that to him.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine.
I'm gonna hand you the reins for a second because I gotta go use the restroom real fast.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So how do I?
Word. Okay, so this is just 7 worst moments of the night. Now this was organized by Colin Rugg, and it's a town hall event last night, and it was not last night, but during this week. And it kind of fell out of the news cycle a little bit because Trump's obviously doing everything to be super iconic. But it's 7 of the worst moments. But the most notable of all of these is just simply her inability to coherently speak. Now, it looks a little awful on my end, but I'm going to go ahead and full screen this video as well. And let me know if anything's wrong with the sound or not. I'll go ahead and start it low. But screen audio should be okay. We'll go ahead and take a listen to this. And it's just incoherent rambling.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives. My team will tell you, I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the tires on it.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes. And they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes too.
This is the moment we were talking about earlier where she was like, she's acting as if she's parented, she's been through the ringer with raising children. And Matt Walsh had a great quote tweet which pointed out the fact that her only 2 kids are stepchildren, and she got them when they were 20 and 15 years old. And it's like, nah, you really don't relate to the struggle in any way.
In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues. And I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
You've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done.
Word salad city incoming.
But need to be done. Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it.
I saw a great, and I hate to pause it again, but I saw a great video. And I don't know who it goes by, but it was another Black patriot. And he makes the point where he was like, this woman has been in office and been a prosecutor and been in politics for how long? What you mean? She's got to study the issue more. It's like, what's the point of you even being here if you can't say anything about policy and you got to study it? And it's just a pretty easy way to pick apart the fact that she has no idea what she's talking about. It's word salad city, like what Worrell just said. She has no position. She has no morals. She has literally nothing. It's just a hollow vessel.
I was gonna say, as Trump told Joe Rogan, apparently she took like a day off to study, to like prep for this interview. I think it was this interview. She took like a full day off beforehand, like stopped campaigning and stuff before she did this interview to like prep for it and study for it, and then still came out.
Was this when we got reports that her staff was not speaking to her because she was like in that mood? Was that when we got that report? I remember seeing that like a week or two ago. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I didn't see that. No.
Oh man, dude, that one was so brutal to read. It was one where it was like it was essentially that like it was like
2
in
days.
close.
She took 2 days to study for this.
That's crazy. But it was just the one where it was like you know, the staff has already stopped trying to get a hold of her because she's getting like that. And it's like a reference to her just being insufferable to deal with to her staff members. And if people don't realize too, she has one of the most insane what's the word? Turnover as an administrator. People who work underneath her is just crazy.
Yeah, nobody wants to work for her. Apparently, she's like really bad, and it reminds me of Hillary Clinton. Like she was really bad to her staff. Apparently, Abigail Shepard.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
Shepard.
I was just gonna say.
You were right earlier though, because she can barely speak. Here, sorry, that moved up. Let me read it from over here. Because she can barely speak here yet. Earlier, when she was talking about her power and the ability to ruin people's lives, she was spitting it like Eminem himself. Right.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about things you don't truly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action.
Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill. Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of it.
Deflect to Trump.
I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
You know, it reminds me of that that meme that people use of like the Uno reverse or like the Yu-Gi-Oh guy when he's like laying the card down.
Yeah,
it's like Trump bad. It's like when you're on your final straw. Like Trump bad. It's all she got.
Yeah, for real. Just me said, wow, I can't believe Anderson Cooper asked her real questions. What's going on? Well, I said this in the beginning. I believe that was Anderson Cooper asking her the same question, giving her a second and third attempt to answer a question that she's fumbled in the past. And she failed once again. I mean, she still, after being asked the question, she didn't go home and ponder and recognize that she really, just screwed that answer up. She wasn't prepared for it, which is crazy because at this point, and I don't want to quote Joe Rogan on this one, but I believe he said one of the reasons why she didn't want to come on the show was because he didn't want to follow the list of questions that her team said in topics that you can't go there. Because you notice every time she goes on with any of these folks, nobody has mentioned the Tulsi Gabbard debate that basically ended Kamala's 2020 run for the presidency when she was competing against Tulsi and Joe Biden and some of the other ones. And that just, you can't bring that up. And so, I think Joe has actually had Tulsi on before. So I mean, I think Joe would actually go there and say, hey, what has changed since this? And she's not going to be able to do anything, say anything.
It's wild because all of these are predetermined.
Yeah.
Even there's like a 10-second clip that made the rounds as well from whoever the lady was that was hosting beforehand, because the audience had asked, they're like, when are we going to be able to ask questions? And she was like, no, but what did she say? It was like, hopefully some of the questions that we'll ask will be the ones that are already on your mind or something like that. And it was like, no one's allowed to ask any questions that aren't already pre-selected and hand-picked out for. And it's just kind of wild, because not only are you preparing for 2 days, you know what questions are going to come, and you still can just cackle and go Trump bad. That's all you could muster. Just wild.
Time and time again. And it's like, people got to be recognizing or waking up to this. It's like, she's not answering the questions. Like, yeah, she knows the questions already and still screws it up. I mean, I don't want that lady running our country. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, who wants to go enlist in the Kamala Harris army, dude?
Well, I'm glad you caught that. Just me said, I'm glad I tuned in tonight. I missed the Anderson Cooper interview and the McDonald's fries thing this week. I heard about them both briefly, but hadn't seen them. Well, I'm glad that we're not just giving you old stuff, because like I said earlier, that I feel like the McDonald's thing was like old already. The way that the news cycles so fast. But I wanted to show that because it just was so funny to me how he just is able to troll. I mean, thousands of people at an event that line in the streets, and it's all to troll Kamala's statement. I mean, ultimate comedian. It's so good. I wanted to say this when we're talking about this Anderson Cooper interview. We mentioned the 60 Minutes interview last week, and apparently they selectively edited that to where like some of the answers that she said on the show weren't answers to the actual questions that she was being asked. Like, as in, because one of the producers or maybe it was one of the like marketing people messed up, and they showed her answering a question on a preview. And then when they actually aired the show, her answer was different to that question, that same question that she was asked in the preview. And it's just so crazy how they selectively edit. And, I saw Megyn Kelly ripping her apart over that and actually made a video on it. But it's crazy to find out that they would edit it so much, and then they won't provide the transcripts. And so like, we don't even know, there's no transparency. And meanwhile, on the other hand, Donald Trump goes on Joe Rogan. There's no edits. It's just raw. You don't even need the transcript. There's no jump cuts. There's no anything to indicate that they clipped out something or anything like that, And so,
yeah,
I mean, it's just an example of one's real and one's fake. And the fake one talks about gaining power. Scary notion.
Yeah, synthetic versus genuine. What I was going to say, man, let's avoid doing the Joe Rogan stuff. Let's see. There's a couple other really good ones that I had in here.
Transcripts or racisms.
Well, I guess if you're not concerned about it, did anyone see any of the Ben Shapiro 1v25? Any of that with the Jubilee? Was it Jubilee, I think, who ran that? I can't remember.
I actually hadn't seen any of that. I've heard a little bit about it, but
because I got the worst one. I loaded up the worst one.
Yeah, let's play it, because I haven't even had the opportunity to watch any of that stuff yet, so I'd like to see it myself.
Michael said he saw. I'm sure he knows exactly what I'm talking about, because we're gonna do the Ben Shapiro versus
couldn't get past
the liberal trans man. It was aggressive. I mean, it's gonna make me say things that YouTube don't like, so I'll hold my tongue for now.
Okay,
here's some red wave press, right? So conservative Ben Shapiro handles a liberal trans man, in parentheses, a woman, like a boss after she tells him, I've got a vagina. And Ben says, I'm not interested in what your genitalia are. And I won't read this because we're just going to watch it here, but just to give you an idea. So this who is sitting across from Ben Shapiro is a woman, and it's been memed out a bunch all on the internet because this woman is essentially doing a caricature of what she thinks a man is. Only in reality, that image in her head is essentially a Reddit soy boy. And so we're gonna get a bit of that. And it's excruciatingly painful, but you can tell that they're getting some kind of like sense of like, oh, I'm owning him right now. And it's cringe. That's like the best way I can say it. It's just cringe. So I'll go full screen here and let's play it out.
Okay.
So, first
A beer or
question,
something.
can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant,
Okay, awesome. So,
definitionally.
definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA? Sexual assault?
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
Well, here, let me
supremacy.
give it to you, Ben.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that? Because there's no legislation, in the history of America that legislates a man's body. So why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
In what? Your genitalia?
You
are?
I mean, it's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my
kind of an
face that I
obsession
radically
you
am
guys
not.
have.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about
No,
abortion,
I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years. Got
I
a wife.
recognize that you exist. I disagree with your
Right.
claim
So
that you
if
are a
I
male.
was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care,
Like,
do you
dude,
think that I
chick,
could carry
what am I
that
supposed to do here?
sexually assaulted?
I mean,
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your
as
choice
a man,
as a man.
Pause that real quick.
You're really moving around
Okay.
terminology.
It's crazy because men have rights, women have rights, we all have rights. What is a trans right? Even if you got a vagina and a beard, like this one, you know, it's like you're either still one or the other. What do you mean you don't have rights? Like, I don't get it. You want special privileges? Is that what you mean by trans rights? You want a special privilege? No.
I mean,
We
that's
already
what you
have
have
rights.
to assume, because you already made it this far, right? You have a beard. You've done all the get up. It seems like,
right.
Where else can we go from here?
Right. Like, being granted the special privilege rights doesn't put cojones in your draws. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but that's just it's super cringe. You stood up and it stood up and flipped a chair around like, oh, I'm about to burn you on this one. You're about to get schooled, Ben Shapiro. Oh man, so cringe.
You know, it's like that Squidward where he's like future. You just replace it with cringe. Like, this is everybody watching it. Like, cringe. Like, I can't make it.
Abigail Shepard said the best comments are that people can tell she's a woman because she won't shut the fuck up and let him speak. Oh, that's
Very
good. Especially because I have a beard and a vagina. Yeah, bro. It's called a bearded lady back in the day. Freak show.
Yeah, you're special in that special kind of way. Yeah. And that's not good enough, man. What they really want is they want to actually this is like an actual effect of an effectual action of fascism, right? It's not good enough that we can be like, okay, dude, like, I disagree with you, but like, I'm not gonna, like, because Ben Shapiro's taking the stance of like, I'm not gonna do anything. Now, if it were me, I think we should outlaw some of this stuff. But he's even taking the stance of like, you know, like, I'm not, like, I agree that you exist, but like, I just agree with like what you're saying and what you are. And they're like, no, that's not good enough. I want you to call me a man. I want you to pretend I'm man. Like walk into
Right.
the delusion with me. And that's where it's like, dude, that you are insane. You are
That's
a
where the buck
psychopath.
stops with me. It's like, look, if you're an adult and you have the money, like, you know, you're not getting funded, like the government's not paying for this because you're in the army or the military or whatever, right? Or like you're in prison, like Kamala Harris wants to like allow everybody in prison to get government funded transitions and stuff like that. Like, you know, if you're an adult and you want to do this, you know, I'd call you, you know, you might have some gender dysphoria or whatever. You might have might be a mental case or whatever, but, fine, you're an adult and you got the money to do it. To each their own, you know, but don't force me to say this, to call you this or that. And then definitely don't try to persecute me and rally the troops behind you from your echo chamber to try to get me canceled or try to just whatever, you know what I mean? Just go away and live your life like I'm trying to live my life. You know?
Yeah.
And frankly, if you call me a girl, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not going to get all like, you'll just be wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't care if you misgender me or whatever. Like, fine, call me a woman. You're just stupid. You know, it
You're
doesn't
not going to
change.
see me flipping shelves at GameStop like, it's ma'am.
Yeah, you don't see me changing my opinion. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. And so it's just like, you're already confirmed yourself. You've already done everything that you can on your own. If you leave the kids out of it and you leave me out of it, as far as, you know, trying to correct me for your own personal needs, which is just a mental case. And if you're really that obsessed with a stranger misgendering you, you got bigger problems than what's missing or from your pants or whatever. I mean,
Yeah. To me, it's like you can do whatever as long as you're wearing a straight jacket and going to the mental facility.
it's bam. Hey, Mr. Gurr, you know. Yeah, for real.
Jared from Subway. Yep.
Oh man, that's good. You can continue that. I just wanted to break in for a second there because that's just super cringe.
I mean, it's a lot. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Technology very wildly here.
And so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game. And you've done it the entire time. You've jumped from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work. So how does it feel to have it in your face?
Oh, well, I mean,
because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially Black trans women, because you constantly disregard all of our needs.
Same community?
Politically is a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself? All of us are struggling, and you want
Ben's face is like, huh?
You want to focus on a Black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America's falling apart, and let's give it a woman right when it's all falling apart. When we'd had, what, 50 men run it, and it looks like shit? Look at where we're at.
You should just be like CNN or MSNBC. Who tells you what to say?
I mean, it's so funny to watch white supremacy just fall apart the way that it is. And you ride so hard because guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children. And why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate and all of this idea that abortion is somehow going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to completely ignore that. And we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have. Why are we doing that? I mean, why? Because
let's make women have babies. How about birth control? Like, they're so lost. These Democrats don't even recognize that, you know, women don't just get pregnant. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy. It's like you can't try to have an intellectual conversation with me and then say that men are making women have babies because of abortion laws. When if you didn't want to have a baby, maybe you shouldn't have slept with a guy. Maybe if you were going to still sleep with a guy, you either take the pill, wear a condom, pull out. I mean, like there's many, you guys realize how this happens, right? Like, holy crap. If you can't understand how a woman gets pregnant, then how do you qualify it to be involved in this conversation? It's so stupid.
It's like that meme where it's like, you're just telling me now, actions have consequences.
Right.
But no, I did want to go back. This is entirely off subject, but it relates to Beyonce. insider report, but it's really just my wife texting me. The tweet confirmed that Beyonce was paid $10 million for her 3-minute speech.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That seems to me like it should be investigated for some type of election fraud fund. You know, maybe Letitia James should bring some charges, or whoever the DA of Pennsylvania is. Being facetious, you know, they go after Trump for
Yeah.
you know.
You know they will. And they probably found some way to use Act Blue to funnel the funds, and it's completely legal, you know, by the books, that is.
Right.
We got 1 more minute of this cringe, guys. We can do it. We can all make it through.
Great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis.
Your choices, you mean?
Including my entire community and the intersectionalities of Black women, men that experience SA,
Dude, Ben gave
trans
up.
people,
He just
everyone that
waited.
comes in. And I'm sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American? This guy's been accused of rape. Trump in like court documents, and you're backing the guy. Like, you have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? Like, what is wrong with you, dude?
Typical.
I've never seen such a party just
Use things you value against you to make their
Americanized
argument seem more valid.
country is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had. Pleasure to meet you.
I'm gonna did the old handshake, slick hair back.
Okay, there's a lot of tension in the room.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not even gonna answer. You said you get it off your chest there, guy. Yeah, their buddy old pal guy, or actually lady. But I gotta bring this chat back, because now that we've heard the whole thing, it's worth putting back on screen. Not how people can tell she's a woman, because you won't shut the fuck up and let him speak.
Yeah.
The epitome of that experience that we just went through right there.
See, that minute's like, that video is literally 4.5 minutes long, and I think I heard Ben say 3 words. Like,
man,
it's so cringe.
It's really funny. And that's just a result of people in the echo chamber. While everybody around him is of the like mind, right? They're all allies, right? And so they all are, you know, in the background. But meanwhile, they're not a representation of like society. The lady even explained it there herself, that it's 1%. And it's funny because I've heard Cenk Uygur, who, you know, was this he's not a progressive. What is he? He's I mean, he's a Democrat pundit, but I'm trying to think of what he actually describes himself as. I can't think of it right now. Not a centrist. Anyways, he'll like fight and argue for having, you know, biological men or boys and girls or women's sports, and he's like, it's only like 3 cases. Why would we change things for such a few? And it's like, okay, insert your own argument into this right here, bro. Like, it's only a few cases that are less than 1% or whatever. Like, why would we change everything across society for the few? It's like, oh yeah, you know, it's whatever's convenient to them at the moment.
What's even more aggressive than just like you being in an echo chamber? I mean, these are people who, you know, in no way, shape, or form. Forget me, there's a stupid bug on my desk, of course.
Okay, while you're
In
doing
no way,
that,
shape,
I'll
or
read these comments here from Michael real quick. The left projects so hard, especially when they come one this hard. Come on, one with this hard can wait, let's see, they're projecting the internal comments. It's unfortunate. And then he says, I want to care about people, you know. I think we naturally want to care about each other, right? And that's 100% true. And you know, it's funny because that is like coming from a Christian perspective. Yeah, we're naturally supposed to, you know, love the sinner and hate the sin, you know, and that's what caring for each other is. That's why we pray for each other, you know, those types of things. And, you know, that's just not what we see from the left, really. It's if you have bad think, you're out of the cult, you know, and we'll cancel you and everything else. So it's something that it's something that allows the left to go as far as they have, essentially, because folks that disagree with them are like, don't tread on me. And then eventually it does work its way to your doorstep, unfortunately. But yeah, love the sinner, hate the sin. Oh, you never heard that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
No,
never
all I was gonna
be in a
say.
room full of lunatics. Yeah,
I know. I definitely agree with that. I was gonna say, especially because he brings up like the court documents. He's like, hey, how can you're a father, he's doing all these emotional appeals. But there are people who just like lack the self-agency. Like to tell that person and be like, hey, like, have you ever thought about like if the court was like illegitimate and like they did something that was morally corrupt? Like they can't even conceptualize what that is or what that means, right? Like they see newspaper says this, court says this, it must be true. And there's no way for them to kind of process and have any kind of self-agency to be like, well, maybe the court was wrong, or maybe the court was biased, or maybe the court did something that was just, what's the word? Not of standard or of tradition. And so to see them always go to that and always be like, as long as it's printed in paper, they're people who are bound to the loyalty of like ethos, places that are supposed to be credible and authority, right? So if an authority structure or figure says something, it must be true.
Yeah, I agree. And let me let's see, what do we have? We're past 10. What do we have for one-offs or anything that we want to make sure we show here?
Let me see. Where's my?
We showed a Ian Carroll clip last week. Is this one?
That one's different. That one's a.
Oh yeah, that one's. I see it. The Abercrombie and Fitch ex-CEO operating a gay sex trafficking network. I see that.
Yeah, that one's like a 9-minute video. If you wanted to watch that.
I don't know.
There's the liberal having a meltdown on a neighbor's porch. Did you see this? It's like a 50-second video.
I didn't. No, let's play that.
So this made some rounds too, because libs of TikTok is pretty good at amplifying all this stuff in the culture war. Let me go ahead and pause it because I think I'm on my screen still, aren't I? Yeah. Okay.
No,
this is just a tedious meltdown.
No thanks, TNT. We're not going to do that. Put that back up there for people in case they missed it.
Yeah. Well, I think TNT is highlighting her because this is the girl who was like debating other people, even off of the 1B25. And there's been many viral tweets and posts that I've seen of her being like, oh yeah, she ate that. And then you click on it and it's like, what do you mean? Ben Shapiro just roasted this woman. It's like, what reality do you live in with this? But okay, if you want to see your neighborhood grandma losing her mind.
I want to know how you can vote.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Shameful. Are you the one that walks by here and always screaming at people? I haven't walked by recently. Okay.
Not recently.
People walk by and scream. Yeah, I'm not surprised. You are voting for the devil. Don't you know that? No. Why are you voting for him? Because I believe he is the moral candidate. Oh my God. You for that one. That's moral? Exactly right. That's how your side acts. Oh yeah. He's the most immoral person around.
Lauren's about to grow out of her head.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Have a nice day.
She take a dump on the steps on her way out.
God bless you.
Oh, that triggers the evil spirit in her when you say that.
Dude, it's crazy because she starts by like, you're voting for an immoral person, and the moment they go, I don't really think that, they're like, F you, you're what's wrong with it. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
It's like, you don't know what morals are, do you? That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Zero self-awareness.
For real. Oh, crazy. Example
people,
after
man.
example of zero self-awareness. That's a great way of wording that because, anytime, well, I've mentioned it before, but like, I think is it Terrence K. Williams? I think it's his name. As soon as he broke from the woke cult or whatever and went against, the historic beliefs of the community, all of a sudden the left starts calling them all the words that you're not supposed to say to black folks. You know what I mean? It's like zero self-awareness. Thanks for confirming that I made the right decision.
Yeah, no. And it's wild because it's like, you know, it really is like that taking the red pill, like in the Matrix. You know, there is no going back once you
Once
do
you
this.
see
And then
it.
you take it
Yeah.
and you can see it. Yeah. You just see it all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Golly. I mean, what cojones to go knock on somebody's door and bitch at them about who they're voting for? I assume maybe they have a Trump sign in the yard. Is that what that is down there?
You'd have to imagine, yeah. I mean, it's funny because the conversation starts with, "Are you the lady who's been going around screaming at people?" So it's like,
I know.
it wasn't the first time.
You're the psychologically deranged woman that keeps yelling at all the kids.
Are you the local nut job? No, I'm not. And then proceeds to be a local nut job.
That's funny. That's crazy. What else we got here? Clint Russell on Twitter. What's this one?
Yeah, all those ones are going to be the
Oh, that's
Trump ones, the Rogan ones.
From the Rogan. Like I said, they demonetize all these anyways from ad rev, so I'm not really too worried about it. Biggest mistake was Sean Bolton. Oh yeah, that was something that was really good when it comes to Donald Trump and that Joe Rogan interview. Was he's talking about when he first got in there, how here, let me actually. He's talking about how when he first got in there, he didn't know anything. He didn't know anybody, and he had to basically appoint like 1,000 people. And anytime you appoint somebody that's not a part of the what was the word that he used? Not administration, the apparatus maybe. You have to worry about what's in their history. So you basically have, because they haven't been vetted and things like that. So you basically have a pool of people that have already been vetted to choose from to assign to like the different roles. And so when he was picking from that, essentially, which that's crazy in itself. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? Like you should be able to pick whoever you want. I mean, of course you don't want to pick somebody that's got a bad history, right? Especially for Trump, because if they do, the Democrats are going to dig them up and dig up all that old shit and throw them in jail. But it was, you know, he was like, I learned my lesson. Now I know who the good people are to pick from, and now I know who the bad people are to pick from. And I feel like this time around, hopefully, if he gets elected, he's going to surround himself by a much better administration. Because he, like I said, he's got this, well, four years of being a president, and then 4 years of these last 4 years. So basically 8 years of experience of learning who these people are, and not saying he'll go like 100 for 100 or be 100%, but much higher percentage than he was last time, which I thought was a pretty cool explanation of like, you kind of just get some insight. Like you've never heard anybody like go there. So it was definitely, I'm glad that he did this interview for sure.
I thought the funniest part was, you know, the Putin Tucker Carlson interview opened up with Tucker being like, and so tell me about the Ukraine war. And Putin was like, let me tell you about the history of Russia.
Yeah.
Well, the same one opened up with, you know, I forget what Joe Rogan even asked, but then Trump was like, let me tell you about Robert E. Lee. It was like, let me talk about Civil War for a second. It was like, dude, they're so similar. They got like this ability to control the convo. And even with Joe in his own host, in his own room, in his own show, like Trump was still like, let me dominate this conversation.
Yeah. That's funny. That was my excuse for my lazy text. Okay. Yeah, I'm just so you guys know, this is a little bit of whiskey. So I'm right there with you guys.
Energy drink.
Coffee, other one's whiskey. Anyways. Let's see, what else do we got here?
Let's see, for shorter stuff, there is one that's like it's a wild video of just a girl like talking about how she got an abortion and she's eating sushi. But you'd have to mute the sound on that one. She's playing music over it.
Oh, yeah. I have to narrate it. Maricopa County. Oh yeah, this is definitely something I want to talk about.
Yeah, the tabulation, the results.
Yeah. Maricopa County is claiming it's gonna take them 10 to 13 days to count the votes, which I hope that Trump wins so big that he basically, take all year, we don't give a shit. Your votes don't matter. So and congratulations. Your district, your county took so long to count that all of your voters basically can feel disenfranchised at this point because we've already determined the election before we even got to your vote count. So,
I hope he just declares himself the winner no matter what. I hope it's like 1% in, and he's like, "Oh, looks like I won, guys."
Just like what Fox did for him last year. That was one of the reasons one of the ways how Fox exposed themselves as not being so, pro-Trump or right or whatever as they want to project. When there's like 1% of the reporting was in, and they're like, "Oh, Joe Biden won that state," and it's like, what? According to 1%. Okay, counting is tough. We only have 10 fingers and toes. I know, man. But let's play this little clip here.
Anyway, very tight races here. In fact, Maricopa County is setting the stage that tabulating all these votes may not be an election night thing. It may take days.
Wow. Well, 12 News journalist Colleen Sikora explains that county
Arizona
are asking voters for patience and.
Yeah, that was Arizona. I believe they did it. And ironically, this Maricopa County is in Arizona as well.
To be prepared.
Tight races, high interest in the election, and a 2-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on election day and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results. 2 pages and an average of 79 contests per ballot.
We are expecting heavy turnout this year, and so that's why we're really encouraging people to vote early.
2 weeks out from election day, and some votes are in.
More than 400,000 people have cast their ballot in Maricopa County.
That's out of an anticipated 2.1 million voter turnout this year.
We are seeing a little bit of a lag of where we were in 2020, but the last few days we've actually seen an uptick in turnout. So I am expecting that we will start approaching very close to those 2020 numbers.
What can impact the amount of results released and when? Early ballots dropped off on election day.
Our races will be close.
And on election day, lines are expected, even with an increase in vote centers and voting booths at those vote centers.
If you're going to vote on election day, vote in person and use that on-site tabulator so that those votes will be tabulated on that evening, as opposed to dropping off your early ballot on election day.
The county adding more high-speed tabulators, more election workers.
We're increasing staffing at our ballot processing as well, because again, we're handling double the number of the sheets of paper. And so we are looking to both have extra shifts, night shifts, if necessary, in ballot processing, and then in the next step that takes place in election administration, and that's through tabulation.
But tabulation expected to take time.
We do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days to complete tabulation.
I mean, that's pathetic. They're going to be working around the clock, but it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to count. Is it one person that's going to do all the counting? I don't understand. Like, how many people you got on the job? I think Maricopa County is the biggest county in Arizona. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, like, really? A lot of people just think that this is them basically going to find out how many votes that they need to count up to fudge the numbers. You know what I mean? And it looks fishy. And it's pathetic because there's countries that can, with higher populations, that can count their votes in one day and determine the election on the same day. So, I mean, like, it's not even, it's not even like a first world American country that I would hold to the highest standard, right? I mean, just good Lord. But I saw this here from Michael. I'm usually too hyper, but I'm really enjoying this. we're all in actual communication. Everything is true, real, and good. I appreciate that, Michael. That's like the whole goal. I want to try to build like a community, and we interact. And I try to steer people to the show from my weekly videos and stuff like that, so that we can actually like, engage and have these conversations and stuff like that. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yes, sir.
I see here, just me said they robbed Carrie Lake, and everyone who was paying attention knows it. They robbed Trump in 2020 as well. 13 days. Yeah, right. 13 days, and they still have issues, of course. It's just crazy. I can't believe that they would. I mean, that's a weird projection, too. 10 to 13 days. Like, why not just say 2 weeks? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It could take up to a couple weeks. Instead, they're
Well, they're
going to
not
get
even the only county that said that. There's other counties that have said it's going to take 14 days. Can't remember the ones off the top of my head, but I've seen multiple now at this point, which is why I think we did get that that ruling from the fifth. It's the Fifth Circuit, I believe, that came with the ruling that said the election results will only be valid on election day. Because I think they're trying to get ahead of the fact that this has already been a
right.
They're like throwing it out ahead of time so people are aware of it.
They're making it harder. Everything needs to be dated or post dated or however they're gonna. I'm sure there's some type of date that goes on the ballot, even though it's not counted. That'll validate that, I guess. But I see Michael said, I think this election is going to draw out Americans who haven't ever voted in their lives, like me. I think we're going to get out for the same intention. I agree. I think so too. I think just simply looking at the economy, that age old phrase, it's the economy, stupid, and that's what it is. Everybody recognizes it. Everybody feels it. And it's only been 4 years since Trump, and everybody remembers what it was like. It's not like it was so long ago that we forget that interest rates were in like 1% and 2%. Gas was cheaper than ever. I think at one point they were giving away barrels of oil because it was so cheap. Like literally, I think they were like paying people actually to come pick up barrels of oil because it had such a surplus, and we were exporting energy around the world, and just Americans in general were doing much, much better. Families were doing better. Everybody had more money in their bank account. More people were working, and costs were down. And it's only been 4 years, and now we see basically an invasion coming across our southern border. We hear about gangs taking over apartment complexes in multiple states. I guess it's in Aurora, Colorado, and in San Antonio. I heard San Antonio today. I haven't looked into that, but I hadn't heard about that until today. And then we covered this a couple weeks ago. You have the federal government paying 5-star hotels to basically provide room, board, health care for families and their children that broke into our country across the border. Biden was paying for flights for people to come in. It's just so bad. 2 foreign wars, $200 billion going to Ukraine.
Been in the country for like what? It's like over a year. Neither of them had jobs yet because they're being paid monthly with benefits.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been here for a year and they didn't speak English. I think if I were to move to a different country for a better life, first thing I would do is learn the language so I can at least communicate with people. I don't know.
Right.
The point being, everybody remembers it. It's only been 4 years. We're only, we're not like lifetimes away or generations away. It was just 4 years ago. And that's excluding the whole COVID thing. Like everybody looks past the whole COVID thing. The whole pandemic, everybody understands that everything got messed up.
I think a lot of people memory hold it because it was such a change of life.
Yeah.
It's like hard to even remember that like that was a thing that happened.
Right.
I still remember like it was like, I think it was March 14th for me being in Ohio. So like my last day of work before they said like, hey, everything's shutting down, go home. And then I remember the streets being completely empty for a couple weeks. Nobody knew what was going on. And then it just dragged on and on and on. It's like months later. And then we're eventually still dealing with face masks. wear your face mask in the restaurant. When you sit down, you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Then they try to tell us that the virus doesn't spread at BLM protests, like it somehow just magically doesn't spread at BLM protests and stuff. It's just then they telling us trust the science, and it's like, you guys really that?
Yeah.
But the one good thing, I will say this, I don't know if it's really a good thing, but it's a learning lesson that a lot of people experience from the pandemic, is that our local elections have a lot heavier weight on our own individual lives than a presidential election. Because just for example, your local governors, you saw governors of New York and Michigan and California locking down their country, arresting people for surfing out on, by themselves, locking down their not country, their state, arresting people for not wearing masks, trying to get people to not gather for family, like for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Meanwhile, you had Texas and Florida, other good governors that were basically allowing for freedom. Okay, they complied with the 14 days to slow the spread or whatever it was, and some people went a little bit longer, just in case at the very beginning. But once people realized what was going on, and they understood that these governors understood that they're now infringing on people's rights to freedom, they reeled it back, and some states didn't. You even saw like Cuomo in New York was throwing sick people into old folks' homes, and there's abuse happening and all kinds of craziness, and it's like, make sure, like we're talking about voting in this election, make sure you're voting for the good governor. If your governor is up for term, like here in Florida, we don't vote for a new governor for 2 years, but your mayor, your governor, representatives, everybody has like a lot of weight on our own individual lives. And it's important to pay attention to the local elections as well, even not just every 4 years when a president's up for election. That's one thing that I really learned from experience, just by watching the country and seeing how different it was for people. And then, living down here in Florida, we saw a huge inflow of people moving away from California and moving away from New York into Florida because of freedom. Now, the unfortunate part about it is some of these folks had the means, but not the brains. And so they come down here and they remain Democrats and, still vote the way that they voted in the place that they came from, which set the stage for them to want to move out in the first place, which is completely stupid. But maybe some people learned, but I don't think so. I think most of the people just got out of there and just moved to the better place. But let's see here. Yeah, flatten the curve, absolute horse crap. It's just control. It's them stretching their power. I think it was them honestly testing to see how far the people will let them go. You know what I mean? How much can we get away with before the people are like, nah.
Yeah, there was the people call it the test run, right? It's like let's see how much we can get away with. That way we're better prepared for when we're actually ready to actually bat down the hatches and enforce even more egregious kind of, governmental edicts. And that's what was crazy is, across a lot of the different states, it wasn't anything that was actually in place in particular. It was the fact that the governor would just issue some kind of executive order and then they expect you to follow it. And the issue then becomes is when the majority of people do it and you choose to be one of the few, it becomes the game of whack-a-mole. And when you become one of the few that actually, wants to individually stand your head up, they're like, oh, see, easy, bop, gotcha. Because when everyone else is kind of just keeping their head down, you just become a very easy target to go after. And, it's sad because, we have a lot of instances of people's lives being just entirely ruined. They just small businesses that couldn't survive waiting out such long, kind of holdout periods. Multiple stories of small restaurants having to throw out entire inventories that cost tens of thousands of dollars, and scaling up with how big some of these businesses are. And it was just overall a very depressing kind of environment. And you think about it too, Walmart and Amazon got to stay open during those periods, and and it kind of collapsed a good solid amount of middle class people who were being upheld by those businesses, and now they're gone. Right. And then who takes over that space once they're gone? it ends up being, Walmart gets a bigger share of it, Amazon gets a bigger share of it. The bigger chains get bigger shares because they were able to survive while all the smaller groups couldn't. And it falls in under like that BlackRock kind of land grab type deal.
Yeah, for real. What they say that like the biggest transfer of wealth happened during the pandemic.
Yeah,
like biggest transfer of wealth in history, something like that. I saw this from TNT Cycles. Used to care about the world, now I care about my country, state, daughter, and grandson. F the world, and that's pretty much where I stand too when it comes to America first. Yeah, I have honor in like our treaties and helping our allies and stuff, and you guys have heard me say this before, but it's always the Americans' tax dollars via our federal government scratching the other countries back, funding NATO. Meanwhile, we just had these hurricanes, for example, and I don't see, Israel or NATO or anyone chomping at the bit there to help us with our aid to our people. I don't see them pitching in to finish our border wall. I don't, for our own security and defenses. It's just kind of a bunch of takers. And I'm not a fan of takers in life generally. I try to make sure that I'm not one myself. And so, it's it's crazy. Like just for instance, like in the pandemic, that's whenever I realized, people are fighting over toilet paper. I should maybe get some chickens. I dug a pond in my backyard and I got a bunch of catfish, and now I got a bunch of catfish that are, 5 to 7 pounds in my pond in the backyard instead of koi. Things like that, where if crap hits the fan, at least we're eating. I had a well dug, so we can get water as long as the power's on. Well, if the power shut down, guess what? I got solar panels put on the house and a battery backup system. So as long as it's sunny, I'll have water and I'll be able to feed the chickens and have food. And so, I became less dependent and less confident in the way that, especially the way that the 2020 election was handled, and knowing who the incoming president was and what they believe and things, in talking about Biden. So, became less dependent. And that's something I wanted to show this last thing. Reminded me because Thomas Massey is of the same ilk. He is a farmer type, and he's got, I don't know if he's got cattle. I think he has cattle, but I know he's kind of on that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has cattle because he was like talking about raw milk and stuff like that back in the day. I think he's one of the best representatives we have, to be honest. And
I think he is by far. I would put him number one.
And I think so too. And so I wanted to share this last video, and I think we'll wrap it up for the night. But do you agree with that? We kind of run through everything we got on our stuff. So
bro.
But this post from Thomas Massey, it says, and this is to TNT Cycles comment there as well. If Israel insists on destroying civilian targets in Lebanon, let them buy and build their own weapons. American taxpayers should not be funding this. And this is something I've said multiple times. I'm more okay with funding their defenses, but when they go on offenses, when they go on attack, I don't believe, especially with what seems to be their lack of discretion, and that there's a lot of details that go in with that, the way that Hamas sets up in civilian places and stuff like that. But, protecting their borders and their defenses is one thing, but then when they go on the attack, I don't think that we should fund that anyways, but especially in cases like this. Just show this quick little clip here. This was a part of, I believe this was a part of Israel. Targeting Lebanon. Okay. I know they've recently gone at some of the bases there in Iran as well, but boom. Took that whole building down.
It's just wild because, look how close the general public is to that.
Yeah. 100%. And I don't know, were people in that building, like civilians? I don't know. I have a lot of questions about that. And how much did that missile cost? And
well, that's why they're justifying it, right? They justify it as like a precision strike. since it only did take one building out. The
Yeah.
reason being is because, they would argue that they have intelligence that that particular building is housing terrorists. And so in doing so, that's how you end up, you do get the ridiculous amount of civilian casualties that we're seeing. But the point stands, the major point really is like, we're struggling over here. Our economy's in the gutter. Every time we print more dollars to pay for stuff like this, the dollars back home become less and less valuable.
Right.
We couldn't even pay people for the damages that happened in Hurricane Helene. You even had that incident which we covered where the mayor of Asheville, his daughter got denied the appeal to get, some of that aid, even from the $750.
Right.
It's just aggressively in your face. And this has now been, the forever wars have lasted how long now? I think this is like, we're on year 30. We're going on year 30 of being involved in stuff like this. And, it just, especially as for me being a Christian too, like, I really just don't like the fact that we continually capitulate to things like this and are engaged in being the world police, especially when all it is really is just an attempt to avoid not being attached with, what's the best way to say it? Ben Shapiro's favorite country,
Yeah.
because there is the dispensationalism that comes with that, where people feel, those who aren't that well versed in teachings of Scripture, have kind of a loose idea that just because it's Israel and it bears the name Israel, that it has a connection to the Bible, and most people don't realize that the state that was created in the 1940s, which is what Israel is right now, is not what the Bible is talking about, and specifically, and there's a lot more for full detail. You can go in there, and there's a bunch of disagreements I have with that. But you just think, and to me, it's really just the shallower point, which is we have no money here. People struggle to buy groceries here. I've seen many, many, many posts of, women or single mothers, or even women who are married, who are just like crying because like they can't pay their grocery bills. They're stressed out. They can't spend any time doing anything but figuring out how to work just to barely make ends meet. And this is where we continually send $450 here, $45 billion here. And all what it ends up turning into is a continuation to churn the military industrial complex.
Mhm.
And at some point, it's got to end, or America will end.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just, funding a conscious effort essentially on an attack versus just trying to defend a country's sovereignty that, that's under full attack. It's two different things. And I understand sometimes a good offense is a good defense, but that country is not hurting as bad as Americans are hurting and feeling the impact of these type of wars and decisions made by our leadership. And so just like to see more of this stay here, this money stay here and help us out. It's that old Jordan Peterson thing, clean your bedroom type thing. You know what I mean? And then you can help other people, essentially, type of scenario.
Yeah.
And anyways, with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate everybody for being here. Second week in a row. It's been really fun having everybody in chat, staying so active and interacting with you guys. It makes it really fun for me. I actually I look forward to this. I'm less nervous going into these shows than I was before, just because I know that we're gonna have you guys to talk to and everything like that. So still, as we get better and progress, we actually hit a high number. We had, I think it was 49. We might have actually hit 50 viewers all at the same time. Was that congruent viewers?
Yeah, concurrent. Yeah,
concurrent. There it is. So that's a high for the show. Growing and getting better every week, and it's really a pleasure, and it's really fun, and I just appreciate everybody being here.
Yeah, I'll echo everything that Worrell said. This is now back-to-back weeks we've done this. Really, even 3 weeks ago, we were getting a lot more interaction from some of our regulars that were coming in here.
Yeah.
And it makes the show, gives us plenty of reason to just continually churning and talking. And so now we were running longer because we're interacting with you guys, and I don't mind it whatsoever. And so now we get to have we can cover a lot of ground and engage with the people and see what their opinions are. And hopefully we don't end up building our own echo chamber here, but I'd imagine most of us do live in objective reality, so it's easier to bounce back and forth between each other, even on small things.
Right.
But the last thing I will say is I'll just end with the sign off. You can find me on YouTube at Atlas Thugged, and as well as X at Atlas_Thugged_. I've been writing a lot longer kind of articles here on X here recently, just going at things that I really disagree with. I'm trying to get back into my actual show, which is Offensively Accurate, so I should be picking that up soon. And I appreciate you all for having me on.
Yeah, man. It's been great. I'm really glad we decided to do this. And just so you guys know, we were introduced by somebody on X. It was Atlas Thugged, former kind of partner. He kind of went away, and he was here last week, Donnie. And it's just cool helping each other out, kind of going back to what Chris said. I'm Tyler. This is the Jar Openers podcast. We'll see you guys next Saturday at 8.
Peace out, y'all. Have a good night.
Well.
It's war world and Atlas Thugged. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thugged. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.